Two people converse about how many applicants show up this year. One of them brings up a question to the other that how many does he think will become celestial knights? He responds they might not get a single one. One can't even become a formal knight without bearing a sword master, and becoming master isn't easy. Looking puzzled, he blurts out, "Aren't all of them sword masters?" His friend seriously considers he was born and raised only in a zenka. He asks him if he seriously believes they are called a knight order that transcends nations ruling over an entire city for no reason. It is the celestial knight order that's strange, with every single knight being a swordmaster. Other countries barely have any swordmasters at all. Yet here those very swordmasters who infuse mana into their blood aura and unleash it are just regular knights. And above them, there are even monstrous Gyosa owners. So even in a place with no classes or instructors to train them, they flock here just for the chance to become a knight's attendant if they pass. Their current commander isn't just the youngest owner of the Holy Sword Gyosa in history, but he is also the youngest commander of the Celestial Knight Order. The senior asks him if now he realizes how magnificent the Celestial Knight Order's prestige truly is. The junior replies, "No wonder there are so many applicants," but his attention is already elsewhere, fixed on a girl with pink hair. Without taking his eyes off her, he tells his senior to look at that one. He turns, mumbling about how he was spacing out, but his words falter the moment he sees her. A nearby knight steps forward, eyeing her up and down. Is she seriously planning to participate in that outfit? He blurts out, "What in the world? Showing up to the Azenka cadet selection exam, dressed like that, is the girl out of her mind?" One look at her, and they have decided she cannot even swing a sword. The junior snorts. Does she think this is a banquet hall or something? The senior believes she probably doesn't even have the strength to lift it, let alone swing it. To him, she looks exactly like some naive young lady who ran away from home after reading too many romance novels without a clue. He makes a bet for a silver coin that she drops her sword and bursts into tears. The junior was going to make the same bet when cold, commanding voice slices through the murmurs, demanding to know the source of the commotion. From the shadows steps Urian de Harden Kyrir, his long silver hair flowing, the revered commander of the Celestial Knight Order. The senior quickly brushes off the interruption, explaining they are merely discussing an unusual applicant. Urian's piercing gaze drifts to the girl, his eyes widening in surprise. The senior grumbles under his breath, questioning even if she's just some clueless young lady. What on earth does she take this military academy before? He never thought he would see an applicant dressed like that at the Azenka selection exam, of all places. Urian, unfazed, challenges their doubts, asking if they truly believe she will fail. The senior dismisses her chances as obvious, insisting that it will be difficult enough for her to swing the sword in that attire, let alone fight. But then, to everyone's shock, Urian places a decisive bet that she will not only pass, but do so with the highest score. Without hesitation, the girl charges forward, sword in hand, slicing the training wood cleanly in two. And just like that, the verdict echoes through the hall. Echinacea has passed. Both the men look in absolute shock. Urian orders them to bring her file. Echinacea Roaz is a 20-year-old female, eldest daughter of Count Roaz's family, named after the pink flower, Echinacea, a name that suits her perfectly, so striking that he wouldn't forget it easily. The her, Urian knew from the future, wasn't an Azenka cadet, nor did she have that vibrant pink hair that suits her so well now. He murmurs, "She is different." Meanwhile, she stands amidst the greenery. A voice asks if she is planning to ditch him again, her heartless master. She replies obviously. Why else does he think she dragged herself all the way to Azenka? The voice remarks that is harsh, especially since he is the reason she even knows how to turn back time. He further tells her to lighten up and not to hung on a past that has been erased. Without warning, she lashes out, ordering him to shut up and branding him a damn demon sword. If it were not for him, she would have never had to know any of this. A demon sword that manipulates its owner into committing murder, also known as Gyosa. After that day, the sword appeared before her. She killed everyone she loved with her own hands. The one person who still believed in her, even when she became a demon, was Urian. But then she closes her eyes, pushing the thought aside. She cannot afford to falter. This is where it all truly begins. To finally be free of this cursed demon sword forever. She cannot afford to be distracted by anything else. First, she needs to avoid Commander Urian as much as possible, and focus solely on joining the Celestial Knight Order. She's convinced that even if he recalls the past, she will be fine. She looks so different now, it has to be okay. At 35, she turned back time, returning to her 20-year-old self. The the second chance at life she has is so hard-won. She cannot erase the past only to repeat it. This life isn't some stroke of luck handed to her. It is a miracle that she seized with her own 2 hands. She was born into the Roaz County family. They didn't hold much power in the Kyrier Empire, but they were still a wealthy traditional house. Loving parents who adored each other. A kind little brother said to inherit the title, and their quiet, graceful one and only daughter. They lived a peaceful, happy life, until that sword ended up in her hand. The cursed blade changed everything. The demonic sword, Vertergiosa, forged from human bloodlust, possesses its wielder and goes on a rampage of slaughter and destruction. Its power was overwhelming, and would eventually tear the host apart, leaving the sword abandoned once more. But her body was different. Her insane affinity for mana kept her body from collapsing, and her natural physique was perfectly built for the blade's swordsmanship. That is how she became a once-in-a-generation prodigy and the demonic sword's chosen devil. She wishes she had never known. She never wanted to learn she was a genius like this. It all started with the people she loved, a famous mercenary somewhere, a respected sword master. Every last knight who was ever called promising, they all died by her hand. She couldn't understand why they couldn't kill her. She just wanted to lose for once. If there was even a sliver of a miracle out there, Urian stood before her, ready to strike her down. And all she wished was for him to be the one to defeat him. Urian Harden Kyrier, the 3rd prince of the empire, who cast aside his claim to the throne, and became the master of the Holy Sword Languiosa, leader of the Azure Spear Order. He lived in a world too far from hers to reach. All she could do was watch him from afar, imagining what it might be like to meet him someday. But in those dreams, she never imagined meeting like this. The devil within her rejoiced that, despite being the captain of the Azure Spears, he didn't stand a chance against her. And then she launched an attack on him. The sword's voice echoed in her mind, "Kill them all." But she didn't want to kill him. Deep down, all she longed for was for him to save her from herself. With every clash of steel, her heart cried out for it to end. She swung the sword with enough strength to push him back, bringing him to an abrupt stop, eyes steady on her. There was a pause, then an admission. It was impressive, yet truly a shame, because had she been a knight, he would have gladly crossed blades with her. Dietrich moved closer and asked if they could join in, and he let him, because this wasn't just a spar, it was an execution. With that, his team moved in beside him. The woman among them remarked it was creepy how strong she was, holding her ground against all 4 of them like this. Even if she was the so-called devil of the cursed blade, it was hard to believe. Dietrich scoffed, saying she was right in front of her. What was so hard to believe? Were her eyes busted or something? Teresa told him to shut up. Baron muttered, what a waste to throw away talent like that on a cursed sword. She wanted to ask if he really thought she had chosen this. If she knew what it was, did he think she would have touched it like some lunatic? A fleeting memory of her family and her own smiling face flashed across her mind. Urian held her gaze for a moment, and for the first time, someone felt for her something that wasn't fear or hatred, but faint sympathy. A gaze not at the cursed demo, not at the monster with the blade, but at the her still trapped inside. It crossed her mind whether he knew that she never wanted any of this. His eyes widened when she realized she was crying. Dietrich remarked that thing was just a body swinging a cursed sword. No way she was still in there. He pointed out nobody survived possession by a cursed blade. They were bound to lose their minds completely. However, Urian knew she was still in there, fighting her will against the sword. Baron pointed out no one could overcome a cursed sword, and even if there was a chance, she had wiped too many territories and killed too many people. Some of that blood was still on them. Dietrich countered that it was because the Empire idiots thought they could handle her themselves. His hand begins to glow with a soft golden light, and he declares that no one can be punished for a crime they never intended to commit. Dietrich steps forward threateningly, eyes blazing with disbelief. He usually respects the commander's knightly idealism, but not this time. Teresa immediately holds up her hand, blocking him, demanding to know exactly what the commander is trying to do. Without hesitation, the commander lifts her fragile body into his arms and replies that he's giving her a chance. After that, she was imprisoned in the underground cells of the Azure Knights. The restraints that bound her body suppressed the power of the cursed sword. Every day she was forced to face her unconscious self. She fought the cursed sword through countless hours and suffered as many defeats and failures. Even enduring those harsh battles, she would imagine what it would be like after winning. Once she got her body back, the first thing she wanted to do was wash off this filth and sleep in a soft bed. Then the next day, with her pink hair restored, She will tidy her hair and go back to the way she was. The thoughts continued. He asked, still the same. The knight guarding her replied there were no issues today either. Urian stood before her. She wanted to greet the one who gave her a second chance with a smile. She wanted to repay those trusting blue eyes and atone for the sins she committed. Believing that a miraculous day like that would come, she endured it all. But that day of miracles never came for her, starting with the guard who fell for the cursed sword's trick and opened the cell door. Baron, the master of Siliciosa, was killed by the sword while helping the last of the people escape. Teresa, the master of Demonciosa, held out until her last breath, buying time. And Dietrich, who tried to escape to alert the outside, couldn't escape the cursed sword either. Finally, Urian, who returned from a mission, faced the sword in the ruined Azenka Plaza. The reunion she longed for through endless time came in the form she dreaded most. But even Urian, known for his unmatched skill, couldn't defeat the cursed sword, now grown strong through countless slaughters. The gaze that once believed in and watched over her was gone for good, and so only hatred for the cursed sword remained inside her. From that moment, 2 years passed, and it had been 6 years since she was tainted by the sword. She regained her body in a small fishing village, skin once blackened, now clear again, hair returned to its original color, a body that moved at her will. She cried out, thrashing and screaming because it was too damn late. What was she supposed to do now? She had killed, destroyed everything. And now, where was she even supposed to return to? That is when she heard the cursed sword's voice. With an air of nonchalance, she told her to scream all she wanted, like that would break her. She looked around with wide eyes, blurting, "Who's there?" The reply came calmly, Verdergiosa, the very sword in her hands. The fact that she could hear his voice meant that she had earned the right to become her second master. He congratulated her on becoming his new master. She snapped, eyes blazing at the audacity of his congratulations. Because of him, she had no one left beside her. Not her friends, not her family, and not even the one who believed in her. However, he said it wasn't him that the malice and bloodlust belonged to the human part buried inside him. But she wasn't ready to hear it. She screamed at him to shut up. No matter how much he insisted, she didn't want to hear a word. Then, suddenly, he blurted out that there was a way she could go back. She froze, eyes widening. What did he just say? She could bring back everyone she killed? He corrected. Not bring back, but go back in time. That was what the last master said after awakening him. He explained it wasn't easy, but she screamed at him to tell her how. He asked her if she knew about the legend of Geosis. If she possessed all 10 Geosas created by humans, she could borrow the power of the divine sword. Among them, there was one forged from time itself, the Kairos Gyosa. She only had one chance to turn back time. She couldn't believe his words and thought it would be possible that the cursed sword was lying. But if there was even the slightest chance, she wanted to bring everyone she killed with her own hands. That day, she clung to a threadbare hope and made a decision. She would no longer wait for a miracle. She would seize it with her own hands. And then at last she reached the place where miracles dwelled. Long ago, there was a blacksmith who dared to challenge the gods. To that arrogant blacksmith, God granted the power to forge a sword from the formless like night and day, and said he has given him the power equal to his. With it forge the ultimate sword. This is the trial he bestowed upon him. The blacksmith forged 10 swords over the span of 100 years. Upon seeing them, the god instantly created 2 swords on the spot. These 2 swords were more beautiful and powerful than all 10 of the blacksmiths combined. Only then did the blacksmith realize the arrogance of his ways. The god forgave him and brought him to the divine realm. Thus, the 12 swords left behind in the world came to be known by the ancient word for trial. Among them was a divine sword forged from time itself. As she stood before Kiyoriscosa, she admitted it took her 9 years to get here. She requested him to take her back to a time when no one had died by her hand. He asked her why she wished to return to the past. She said it was because she wanted to bring back the people she had killed. But he pressed further. If she had killed them with her own hands, why did she want to revive them? Her voice rose into a scream, but she caught herself, steadied her tone, and said she had never wanted to kill them in the first place. There was a pause. Then he said very well, and asked her what came next. She stood still, struck by the weight of his words. In a world where everyone was alive, what did she intend to do? She had never thought that far. All she ever wanted was to undo what she had ruined with her own hands. She hadn't even considered what came after. She just wanted to bring them all back. Hesitantly, she said she only wished to live a normal life. She admitted that, as she was now, She couldn't even fall asleep in peace, couldn't remember the last time she laughed, and that only the shell of her remained alive. But if she could turn back time and change things, if she could return to what she once was, then she too wanted to be happy. Her eyes filled with tears as she said it. He said, "Very well." Then the earth trembled beneath her feet, and he declared he would lend her his power because she was a worthy human, but warned there would be no second chance, so she must do her best to find happiness. And when she opened her eyes, she was back in the past. A familiar ceiling met her gaze. Her pink hair had returned, her arms and legs moved at her will, her body was hers again. Without wasting a second, she ran into the garden and threw herself into her brother's arms. Her family had been returned to her. Her brother stood frozen in shock as she clung to him, sobbing. March 17th, year 1629 of the divine calendar. She had returned to the day she first held the cursed sword, and now she carried a new resolve beyond despair. Later, as the maid dressed her, she remarked that her lady had startled her earlier that morning. If she had been awake, she could have simply called for her. Why had she been wandering around like that? It was highly improper. She only giggled in response and offered a soft apology to Nora. But then Nora frowned, noting that she'd been up quite early. Was she feeling unwell? She reminded her that she hadn't been able to sleep, not even at dawn. That made Echinacea pause. She turned, confused. Had she called for her at dawn? Nora said of course. Couldn't she remember? She had asked her to bring her warm milk because she couldn't sleep. A chill crept down her spine. It was the exact same situation as the one from when she had held the sword. That dawn, Nora didn't return from the kitchen, so she went there herself. And what she faced wasn't the loyal and gentle Nora she knew, but Nora who had been consumed by the cursed sword and turned into a demon. She did not remember how she managed to avoid that attack, but when she came to, the cursed sword that Nora had dropped was lying in front of her. And she had no choice but to pick up the sword to survive. She questioned Nora if she noticed anything strange back then. Nora admitted there was an unfamiliar empty package in the kitchen. Echinacea blurted out if she still had it. Nora replied she kept it because she didn't know where it came from and was going to give it to the butler. She told her she would take care of it, so she should give it to her. The label was the same length as the cursed sword. She realized someone must have deliberately placed it in the kitchen. But since the cursed crystal that was supposed to be inside was missing, the past where Nora held the crystal has changed. She slammed the label on the table and demanded she change time, so why was he still with her? The cursed sword replied because Barter Giosa still remained in her hand. Their conversation is interrupted when Nora asks her if she will be having breakfast in the dining hall. She needs to inform the kitchen in advance. She asks with whom. Nora looks at her curiously and says she is acting rather strangely today. Naturally, she is going to eat with the master, the madam, and the young lord. At the dining table, the whole family sits together for breakfast. Her father mentions, casually, almost in passing, that Nicole is arriving tomorrow. Her brother's face lights up at the news. Finally, Nicole is getting leave from the Mage Tower. Excited, he says he will ask him to play once he gets here. Their mother, however, quickly redirects his enthusiasm, reminding him that before he thinks about that, he needs to dry his hair properly. After washing, she gently scolds he should make sure to dry off completely before coming to the dining hall. Then her father's gaze shifts to her, his voice lowering as he points out that she hasn't touched her food at all. Her brother notices it too. She hasn't taken a single bite. She tries to respond, to brush it off, but the words catch in her throat. In that moment, flashes of the past of killing them all rush through her mind. She admits she has missed them so much, and now, sitting with them all, it finally feels real. Her brother laughs softly, teasing that they just saw each other yesterday. It's like his sister is still dreaming. Her mother asks her if she had a bad dream, studying her with concerned eyes. A tear escapes her eyes. She gently wipes it and laughs widely, saying she must have had a bad dream. This is the life she must protect with all her strength. Later, back in her room, she checks her mana. It is still low since it was just formed, but at least the mana core is properly established. Mana core is a reservoir of mana within the body, created only by Knights of Swordmaster level. In her past life, having a mana core was a given, so she overlooked the fact that her current body didn't have one. Besides, she pushed herself too hard in this state. No wonder she got exhausted so quickly. She summons the sword into her hand, its form rising with a proud gleam. But then it groans dramatically about being awakened so roughly, complaining that it hurts and she should have been more gentle. She demands to know why he is still stuck to her. He counters, isn't that obvious? Even though time reversed, her soul remained intact. He declares he is engraved into her soul as a Geo. She stills. He explains the reason she still remembers everything is because she is a Gyoza owner. She asks, so if she gets rid of him she would lose her memories. He says exactly. A moment later, she asks, what of the other knights? He replies, she never awakened the consciousness of the other knights. Only by awakening it can she truly become their master. And he is the only sword whose consciousness she has awakened. Without him, she would go back to being the clueless lady she once was. She realizes that means she could accidentally devour him again. Gritting her teeth in frustration, she thinks Varder Gyoza is the blade of slaughter. Losing her memories and having her consciousness stripped away again isn't the only risk. If she lets her guard down, that sword will consume her, and she will commit slaughter once more. If she cannot discard this cursed sword, then achieving her happy life will be impossible. The Gyoza Hall, where all discovered swords remain sealed. Deep within the Azure Knights, that place allows one to acquire new knights and seal away the cursed sword. There are only 3 ways to enter. First, discovering and securing an unidentified Gyoza. Second, the death or retirement of a previous Gyoza owner and relinquishing their knight. Lastly, granting an official knight of the Azure Order the right to choose a Gyoza. She announces to the staff that she will be leaving for Azenka, instructing them to go ahead while an employee will handle transporting her luggage separately to the accommodation. Finally, she asks them to send her regards to her parents. Nora, clearly alarmed, calls after her asking if it is really okay to leave so abruptly. Echinacea answers calmly that it's fine. For now, she had made the necessary preparations. A few days before her departure to Azenka, Nicole had echoed back in disbelief that Echinacea wanted her to investigate the origin of the demonic sword while she was away. Nicole had just returned from her vacation at the Magic Tower when Echinacea contacted her, wasting no time. She reminded her that she had already told her she was now the owner of the demonic sword, and that it had been placed there by someone from the current Count's family. Echinacea had finished the thought for her, confirming she was asking for help during her time in Azenka and requesting her to protect her family and everyone in the Count's household. Nicole had stared at her, clearly shaken, and asked if she truly grasped how serious the situation was. There was no guarantee she wouldn't be controlled by the sword again. What exactly was she planning to do in Azenka? It wasn't like she could go to the Azure Sky Knights and tell them she was the sword's owner, could she? Echinacea had admitted that she hadn't even told her family and had no intention of doing so. Nicole was the only one she was telling. At that, Nicole had challenged her, demanding to know where that level of trust even came from. Was it simply because she was a mage sponsored by her family? She responded that it wasn't because of that. Then, her expression shifted, like she had suddenly drifted into thought. A memory surfaced. Her and her brother fighting, and Nicole's reaching out to pull them apart. But that wasn't all. The only one who had ever managed to wound the demonic sword was her. However, she cannot talk about it. Instead, she says she's the only one she can trust. Nicole crosses her arms, and after giving her a measured look, she finally says she will trust her words. But the question is, how is she going to get into the Azure Sky Knights? It is a place where geniuses who have practiced swordsmanship their whole lives gather. She tells her not to worry about it, then suddenly declares she's more of a genius than they are. Later at the academy, she eats in silence while the other cadets stare at her. They comment, who does she think she is, walking around the Knights like that? Is she insane? As she cuts into her steak, she reflects that even if she's reaping the consequences of her own actions, it's a bit uncomfortable to be like this during mealtimes. She thinks maybe she should just become a master at a year early, at 22. Just then, a girl approaches her and asks if she's Echinacea. She introduces herself as Alice Winterbell, her assigned roommate. Apologizing for interrupting dinner, Alice asks if they can talk for a moment. She brings up the number of belongings in their room, wondering why there are so many. Echinacea asks if she's referring to her clothes and accessories. Even she silently admits she thought it was a bit too much. Alice comments bluntly that a cadet training to become a knight wouldn't need that many clothes, but she asserts she needs them, and she has no intention of wearing drab cadet uniforms. Alice flushes with anger at the comment because that is exactly what she is wearing. Echinacea then points out that the regulations don't say anything about not wearing dresses. There is no such thing as unknightly behavior. She asks her what does she consider as knightly. Alice replies they uphold chivalry, knowing honor, being frugal, respecting the weak, revering martial arts like Teresa von Fran Almart. Echinacea points out there's nothing in chivalry that says they cannot adorn themselves, but Alice says it is naturally an extravagant vanity. She counters these are the things she has always used, so wouldn't buying knightly clothes on purpose be even more extravagant? At a loss for words, Alice finally burst out, demanding how can she wield a sword in such uncomfortable attire, but she claims it's not uncomfortable for her, despite it being actually uncomfortable. Alice trembles with frustration, her expression screaming, "How is this person the top student?" She thinks she's so obvious it's endearing and cute, but she needs to put her in her place a bit. It will be annoying if she keeps pointing things out every time. Without warning, she offers to spar in her current state, if she really doesn't believe her. Alice asks if she's trying to say she can handle her, even in a dress. Is that it? She counters she wasn't thinking such rude thoughts, she just has confidence in her ability to defeat her. Her patience finally breaks and she formally demands a duel. Her condition: if she wins, Echinacea must apologize for her insulting words and actions just now. Raising her voice slightly, she adds that Echinacea must also promise never to wear such extravagant clothes again. Echinacea smirks. Accepted then adds her own condition: if she wins, Alice is never to interfere with her again. She declares the duel will take place tonight at the training ground behind the dormitory. Just then, a male cadet steps forward, intrigued. He says hearing about this makes it sound interesting. If it is all right with the both of them, he questions, would it be okay for him, the candidate representative, to be the witness? Echinacea asks him who is he. He introduces himself as Ian Peltro, 3rd year. Since he is the student representative, he thinks he qualifies perfectly as a witness. Alice formally greets him since he is a senior. He waves his hands, telling her not to be formal, and asks if he interrupted something between those two. She replies not at all, and thanks him for volunteering to be their witness. Ian says then they should meet this evening at the training ground behind the girls' dormitory. Alice then turns to Rose, dropping all formality. Echinacea thinks she stepped in, thinking it might be better to settle things in one go. Hopefully this won't lead to something more tiring. Out of nowhere, the cursed voice cuts in, asking if it is a duel. Isn't she going to kill them? He points out it has been way too long since he last shed blood, and wants to kill them. She curses him and wants him to shut up already. Ian suddenly remarks, just as the rumor says she's impressive from day one. He takes a seat right in front of her. She wonders silently, hasn't he left yet? Then, without hesitation, she asks him directly, does he need something from her? Ian replies, casually, nothing major. Would she consider joining their club? She looks puzzled, and he quickly judges from her expression that she hasn't heard of it. He adds, she is a freshman, so it is understandable. Some cadets arrive here not knowing much, just like her. He informs her there are no regular classes or exams in the academy. Instead, they have a ranking system. Every 3 months, all cadets compete in a ranking match to determine their positions. And if she wants to change her rank in between, she can personally challenge someone to a duel and climb by winning. She admits she has heard of that. She reminds herself, rankings are the core of the Azenka Military Academy. Cadets of the Azena Military Academy serve as temporary squires through the ranking matches. A squire in this case refers to an assistant to a formal knight. Unlike ordinary servants, they manage weapons, armor, and horses, and assist in training in battles. And if they are lucky, they might even receive some swordsmanship advice during that time. Unless a knight designates a specific square, cadets are assigned to knights based on their rank determined by the ranking matches. He tells her to become the temporary squire of a skilled knight. Her rank needs to be high. That's why cadets are always desperate to prepare for the ranking matches. But it is hard to improve the skills on their own. They need to spar, after all, and that is the reason clubs exist. They can train with others, and sometimes even learn under a mentor. Usually students decide which club to join before even enrolling. She asks him, is that mandatory? Ian admits it is not required, but many will try to recruit her. She entered as the top student, and this time she's quite special, so there is going to be fierce competition to bring her in. She questions, beside being the top student, is there any other special reason? He simply replies, she will understand when she sees this, handing her a letter that officially names her a squire. Everyone watching is stunned. This is the first time a freshman has been granted such a designation. Whispers ripple through the crowd, questioning who could be foolish enough to appoint a freshman as a squire. Sitting there, she is struck with disbelief, questioning if all Gyoza owners retain their memories. But she tells herself, if that were true, they would have either tried to kill her or arrest her. She wonders who is it. She was determined not to ever get involved with a formal knight. Clutching her dress, she blurts out, who is he? The reply comes instantly. He is Urian de Harden Kyrir. The name sends a shock through her. He lets her know the probation period is 1 month. Her official assignment will come after that. During the probation period, he will conduct her preliminary training. He instructs her to be at the 4th training ground in the east wing of the main building by 9 a.m. tomorrow. He then turns, and with a casual wave he adds that he will see her later that evening at the salmon training ground, and then walks away. But she remains seated, caught in a quiet dilemma, shocked that Urian is the one who designated her as his squire. Was it because she had the highest entrance score, or was she too extreme in the second test? Or could it be that he remembers? If that is the case, she doesn't understand why. She betrayed the opportunity and trust he gave her. She ruined everything. She wanted to see him again, but she never intended to meet him again. A squire means now she has to stay by Urian's side again. She finally arrives at the training ground for the duel. Ian and Alice are already there waiting. They greet her and tell her there's no need to delay. They will begin immediately. Since Alice was the one who issued the challenge, she will take the first move. The two girls take their positions, facing each other. Ian speaks with calm authority. May the victor show mercy and grace, and may the loser accept defeat with humility. With that, he signals them to begin. Alice raises her sword. When Echinacea bows before the match, Alice is momentarily taken aback by the gesture. The crowd watching murmurs, some wondering if Echinacea thinks she's at a ballroom. To Alice, it's incomprehensible. How could someone like her be the top student? She refuses to accept it. Gritting her teeth, she lifts her sword and charges forward, striking the first blow. Echinacea dodges her sword again. Alice notices that she is just dodging absent-mindedly. She isn't attacking, and her attacks aren't landing either. She becomes annoyed and remarks that she isn't focusing on the match, is she? Echinacea stares at her, thinking that she should have ended this quickly, but her mind was elsewhere. She supposed apologizing now would just be an insult. In that case, she thinks there is no choice but to end it quickly, and strikes her. She is left taken aback, wondering when did she get this close. She ponders that even if it was a basic thrust, it would have been hard to react to it. Noticing that she blocked it with textbook precision, like something straight out of a fencing manual. She looks at her knowing that the more she watches, the more she sees her swordsmanship is as honest as her personality. Echinacea guesses Alice will probably ride along her blade and close the distance. That's exactly what happens, proving she was right. She thinks that since she is so by the book, it's obvious what her next move will be, but she pulls a move of her own, leaving Alice shocked. The sword flies from her hand and lands upright in the ground. With a blade now at her neck, she quickly admits defeat, and she won't interfere with her anymore. Echinacea admits to her she was the one who was rude. She is aware that it wasn't a duel, as she wasn't focusing at all. Ian tells them both of them did a good job, and he is glad no one got hurt. Alice thanks him for watching, and asks if she could excuse himself first. He responds, of course, and informs her that since this duel took place before the ranking matches, it won't affect her standings. Alice leaves, and Ian turns to her and says, Echinacea, that 3 times in total, that's how many times she has acted as the commander's temporary squire. He says that commander isn't someone who makes impulsive decisions. That's why it was easy to follow his lead. He's rational, respects the law, the epitome of a sacred swords master. But this time he doesn't know. He asks her, why does she think he chose her as his squire? Was it because she is skilled, or does she perhaps have some connection to him? She responds that she doesn't know why he chose her either. He tells her that's fair and puts his arm on her shoulder, telling her to not forget about 9 a.m. tomorrow, and calls her cadet Echinacea. He smirks at her and she finds it annoying, making her remember that 3 years from now, on the day Azenka was devastated by the demon sword. The Ian Peltro she met was a knight of Azenka. The one in her family wasn't smiling kindly. He had shown his true vile nature to buy time to escape. He sent everyone, children, the elderly, the powerless, straight towards the cursed sword's path. And then he begged to be saved, and that he'd do anything, and he knew there were a lot of people on the other side, and he is a knight, and if he is spared, he'd get them for her. But she killed him. She tells him she'll see him tomorrow. Then, she finds it disgusting that this kind of guy becomes a knight 3 years from now. Vertigiosa tells her that she was rushing off, and that this isn't even the main street. Echinacea responds, seeing that guy put her in such a foul mood, she had to come here. He asks her if she plans to solve things by killing everyone like before. She tells him to shut up already, as that isn't what she wanted. She wanted buildings still standing, and people living happily. The peaceful scenery of Azenka. She knows she really wanted to see that. He finds it boring. Suddenly, someone calls out to her. She turns toward the voice and freezes. Urian is standing there. Their eyes lock, both filled with unmistakable shock. He asks her if she knows who he is. She realizes that she stared at him thinking he might remember her, which was careless. She apologizes to him, telling him that she doesn't recognize him. She asks him if he knows her. He tells her that she knows who he is. Surely she does. He questions, haven't she seen him before? She seems taken aback, wondering if he remembers her. She thinks that he says they've met, but when? She wonders if he remembers everything, then what should she do? He tells her it was the birthday celebration last year. She asks if he saw her at the birthday celebration. He admits he didn't know who she was, but he does remember seeing her. He asks her if she didn't see him too. She remembers that they didn't talk or even made eye contact back then. She mentions that he is the commander and offers an apology for not realizing it sooner. He requests her to not call him commander, but just call him by his name. He finally reveals his name is Urian. She still calls him commander again, stating that she is just a cadet, so how dare she calls him by his nickname. After a brief pause, he shifts the topic and asks why did she apply to the academy. She wonders if he is asking because of her appearance. She tells him she applied because she wishes to become a knight. He then questions why does she want to become a knight. She seems a bit nervous, but then tells him it's because she likes swords. He suddenly takes her hand and slowly repeats, asking if she likes swords. He remarks that her hands don't look like the hands of someone who wields a sword. She stares at him in surprise. He goes on, saying he will ask again, why does she want to become a knight? She flinches and pulls her hand back, her thoughts spiraling. Of all things, it had to be her right hand. She thought he would notice. She could have easily made up a reason for why she became a knight. But with him, she didn't want to lie. She admits to him because she wants to be happy. It might sound strange, but she is being honest. He stills in surprise. At least to those blue eyes that always believed in her, she didn't want to lie about this reason. She then asks him what brought him here. He counters, what about her? What is she doing all the way here on her first day? She ponders that she came to check the fountain, which was totally fine, but she cannot say it out loud. She mentions that she was just taking a walk and ended up here. He tells her it's the same for him, he came here for a walk too. He smiles at her, making her wonder if he was always someone who smiled this often. She thinks, isn't it too much of a coincidence? Coming to the very place where he was killed on the very day he named Emil Skyer as his killer. She wonders if it could be that he actually does remember. She mentions that she heard he named her a spy. She thinks if that isn't it, she needs to understand his intention and asks him why did he name her a spy. He asks her if he may request a sparring match. He tells her not now, but whenever she is ready. She knows she is the cadet, and she should be begging for the chance, yet he is the one who is asking. He gently covers her with a dark cloak, his hands lingering on her shoulders, stating that as for why he named her a spy, he'll answer after they have crossed paths. He tells her that the night is chilly, so she should cut the walk short. Virgigiosa questions what is going on in that guy's head, that Langiosa brat picked a weird master. She asks him to tell her about it as she has not gotten any clue either. The next morning, she whispers maybe he is trying to keep her close to monitor her. Virgigiosa questions, what nonsense is she spouting this early in the morning? She mentions that she thinks she figured out why Urian named her. He wants to confirm whether she is really the devil of the demon sword. He asks her if she means that he made her a spy to watch her. She knows if not, there'd be no reason for him to keep her near, as if he becomes certain that she is the devil. At the very least, he won't be smiling at her like yesterday. Alice steps in and calls out to her, stating that she said she wouldn't interfere, but did she leave this on the ground to show it off? She tells her there isn't any need for this. Everyone knows she is the commander's squire now. And then she leaves. She thinks it must be super annoying for her, but she is keeping it together. She is aware that there is nothing more she can do, and it's time to focus on what she can do. Meanwhile, she is welcomed, and she greets Ian, however, even his smile pisses her off. He introduces her to a guy who is a third-year cadet, Brett Von Poole, who will be helping with her preliminary training in his place today. That guy tells her she is quite pretty. He grabs her shoulder and tells her that she will be an official squire the day after tomorrow, so there isn't much time left, but she shouldn't worry, as he'll teach her well. He then offers to start the class now that the student representative has left. He declares first she will be his squire for the day, and she will attend to him. She responds with a polite, yes, senior, but he cuts her off, demanding that she call him lord. He claims that is the most basic rule. A smirk curls on his lips, as he adds that he will be giving her specially tailored training. He then instructs her to start by massaging his legs. She points out, isn't this supposed to be squire training? He tells her not to pretend she doesn't know while squishing her skirt around. He winks at her and says she's just trying to snag a knight for marriage, isn't she? He can see right through her. He adds her other grades were mediocre, but she became the top student because her performance in the second test, sparring with the apprentice knight, was overwhelming, claiming the rumors are flying among the students. They are wondering how on earth she managed to take down the apprentice knight. She lets out a sigh and says those rumors have spread in just one day? She doesn't even know where to start correcting this. He comments causally, it is quite a remarkable skill. Even seducing the commander was impressive. Her eyes sharpen at his comment. Bread continues. Now that she is a squire, she can officially serve him. It must be getting steamy every day. She thinks to herself, back when she was gathering the Giosa, she thought she heard all the insults possible in the mercenary corps, but this is just too vulgar. It's not lost on her that he also dared to drag Urian to it. Suddenly, the cursed voice speaks, Noting that she is irritated, he urges her to use him, feeding on her fury. He goads her further, saying that if she's just gonna stand there and take such insults, he doesn't want her holding back, they should just kill them. She remarks that his words are a bit harsh. He retorts that she ought to first learn how to respect her seniors, or perhaps that willful of hers only works on higher-ups. Without warning, she kicks him square in the shin. He doubles over, groaning in pain. With a calm, almost polite tone, she says his words made her feel dirty. Inwardly, she thinks that just as the cursed sword said, there was no need to hold back this time. And if she was going to play the part of the eccentric genius, she should act out a bit. Verdengiosa groans in exasperation, grumbling that what he actually said was to kill him without hesitation. She tells him she doesn't know why she was chosen as a squire, but she can show him how she took down the apprentice knight. This time, she delivers a kick on his back. Sprawled on the ground, he grits out to get off him right now. If she doesn't, he can report it to the commander and have her appointment cancelled. She dares him to go ahead and report, but he will have to tell him everything they just talked about too. Like serving at night, for instance. But he screams at her, demanding if she has any proof that he said those things. Just then, a guy steps forward and casually offers to be a witness if she needs one. She turns to him and asks who he might be. With a grin, he replies that he's Bahara Islaf from the 3rd year, and adds that he heard everything that guy said, so she can feel free to continue. She turns back and remarks that now they have a witness, mockingly calling him senior. Bahara watches the scene unfold while munching on a snack. She then asks if he still thinks he did nothing wrong. He scoffs and says she's spouting nonsense, insisting he didn't do anything. She calmly says she thought as much. Then, suddenly releasing him, she tells him to get lost and watch his mouth from now on. He scrambles away, calling back that she'll regret this. Bahara, still snacking, says she could have hit him more, but she simply replies that she felt this much of a warning was sufficient. But if he does this again, they will have to teach him a harsher lesson. From what Bahara has heard, it seems he is receiving preliminary squire education. He asks why is she listening to such nonsense from that loser. Echinacea questions, is that person famous? He states he belongs to the idiot club that thinks the military academy is their personal mansion. Plus that guy has probably never been recommended. So who on earth introduced him? She says it was the student representative, sir. She inwardly wonders how Ian could introduce such a troublemaker. Bahara then starts eating his snack again and asks her why is she wearing a dress? She retorts, isn't cadet attire optional? He clarifies he is not criticizing, just curious. She states it is her preference. She likes dressing up. He questions whether leather gloves and shoes wouldn't be more comfortable, suggesting if it is also preference. She responds they don't match the dress and they are not pretty either. He asks if she likes pretty things, why carry such an ugly, cheap sword? She says she will simply toss it and buy a new one if it gets damaged. That earns a loud laugh. The more he sees, the more interesting he finds her. She offers a polite thanks for his kind view. Then, with a flash of purpose, he declares he will personally oversee her preliminary squire training. She straightens and bows formally, thinking that he might be a bit strange but still far preferable to the other guy. However, he adds the training won't begin today. Stepping back, he reintroduces himself, owner of Seligiosa, vice commander of the Celestial Knight Order, and squire to Sir Baron Tilius. 3rd-year student, Bahara Islaf. A warm smile follows as he informs her he plans to watch over her until she becomes a full-fledged knight. Her eyes widen. Blood runs cold in her veins. She is doomed. Out of everyone, her senior turns out to be the squire of the Giosa owner she killed. At this point, she'd honestly prefer being pestered by the young master club. Bahara then informs Echinacea that he is the vice captain squire and that she must be the captain squire. He then tells her that since she's now an official squire, they'll be working together, and it would be better if she trains herself to make life easier. But she has been so focused on Urain that she hasn't realized she's going to be introduced to the other knights. Bahara says to her that, for now, she must simply follow him. He has something to show her. She replies with an okay, but deep down she thinks that she'll need to dress more flashily, so flashy that no one will recognize her as herself. As he walks, the more she thinks about it, the more confusing it gets. Bahara, with such a good build, isn't someone one can easily forget, but she doesn't quite remember that before her regression, she had killed him at Azenka. Bahara notices that it's starting to rain. He tells Echinacea to wait where she is, as he'll be coming back quickly from the dorm. Then she suddenly remembers that back then, when she was captured and thrown underground by the Giosa, whenever a storm hit, the guards would talk about it. They used to ask each other if the vice president had visited the cemetery again today. They'd say that the weather seemed like night because of it. This always reminded her of that event. After all, it has already been 3 years, and the damage back then had been enormous. Even the vice captain Squire had died that day, during the year's monster subjugation. Bahara had died, so she thinks that it seems like she does know what the future holds. She thinks that she will change what she can, and maybe it's a tip that the future is not written in stone. She finally reaches back while thinking that, and wonders, if she can save him from dying, then she must. She thinks that the Gyosa men are close to him, must have known exactly what happened, and if she can, she will be able to find out who remembers what. Bahara gives her today's homework. It's the Squire manual, full of advice from upper-class members. He adds that she should keep it, and once she's done, she can pass it on to her juniors. He then says he'll be heading back to his lord to thank him. She asks him if he thinks she'll be able to join the spring monster subjugation. Bahara clearly says that this is not going to happen. After all, she is still a probationary squire, and there is no way they would take a rookie. She begs him, asking if there's really no way. Bahara finds her quite eager about this, and wonders if she is that desperate to gain experience. To this she says that it's only natural for someone who wields a sword. He then says that if she's that determined, she can place in the top 3 in the upcoming freshman ranking match. The Qianqian subjugation mission is reconnaissance in name only. It's basically real combat, but even freshmen, if they rank in the top 3, get a shot to join. He asks her if she feels confident right now, to which she replies, not at all. But she says she's looking forward to fighting alongside him in the upcoming spring subjugation. Bahara says to her that he'll be looking forward to it too, all smiling. He then says that he'll be checking her homework tomorrow, so she better do it properly. Val says to her that she herself says she's not going to aim for a high rank, and now she's acting like she's aiming for 3rd. But Echinacea is like that. She is going to aim for 1st place. After all, she is already at the squire level, so there is no point in holding back. And she really needs to do this. She needs to prove what she is made of, and to shut their mouths. Val, as usual, says to her that if she's that ambitious and hasty about it, she might just kill them. But she says to him that she doesn't want to be a murderer. Val says that she already is one, so she's still one. But Echinacea thinks that he just won't understand. Every Gyosa has a unique ability, and the first time she learned about the Sword Demon's power was after awakening its consciousness when she was searching for information about the Gyosa. She had gone to the back alley informant she had met. They used to say things about Urain, that he was the worst captain in history, as he had fallen for the demon and girl. The whole empire was wiped out. And, of course, she had been full of herself, as people used to hype him up so much. She thinks that she was totally blind because of Craftsman, who was saying bad things about him. Echinacea really lost it all. The demon sword, when its master lets their guard down, loses control of their mind, or feels killing intent toward humans. It uses this malice to find and execute the perfect killing path. She thinks that if this is how powerful it is, she'd rather not think about it. Val says to her that the unsettled bloodlust is still in her. After all, it's being suggested that she last killed someone as a squire. It would be better if she finds someone worth killing, or it will get bad. But she shouts that this time, she will be the one to decide. Winterbell informs Echinacea that a telegram has arrived for her and says she has left it in her desk. Echinacea thanks her, but before she can respond further, Winterbell leaves, making Echinacea think that she's cold, just as expected. She assumes one telegram is from her home, and the other, from Nicole, concerns an unconfirmed pursuit. The tail of a white look has been spotted. She knows that the white silk look is an emblem used by the imperial family of the Kyrir lineage, which means that Kyrir Kali is somehow connected with the cursed sword that was in Roaz. A few days later, Bahara tells her that he's heard she's become the captain's squire, and the fact that people who think she did this through seduction is just some rumor that will die down in a few days. But he adds that she should use this time to focus on the squire's main duty, taking care of the lord's horse. He also adds that Sylphid likes gentle brushing, so she should be careful. He says that it will be nice if she starts taking care of them from the beginning. And among the captain's horses, Sylphid is rather gentle. She asks him if he's also taken care of Sylphid before, to which he tells her that he once served the captain temporarily. He tells her that her clothes are getting dirty, to which she says it's fine. Bahara can't help but say that the more he gets to know her, the more he thinks she's different from what she seems. Dressed up like someone who wouldn't step a single foot in the stables, here she is unbothered, even as her clothes get dirtied. Bahara comments that it seems like she really does like to get dressed up. She then asks him if she can crush the mane straight, to which he replies that she'll first need to untangle it with her fingers, otherwise it will break. He remains unable to believe that she isn't even startled by having to do that too. After all, with such a delicate appearance, she probably wouldn't even blink at a sea of blood. He thinks, and the more he looks at her, the more interesting she becomes to him. Echinacea asks him if she could handle the brushing part herself, and he agrees. Finally, Urain steps in, saying to Bahara that the Baron is looking for him. Bahara asks Urain if he's here to ride Sylphid. Urain says yes, and wonders if Bahara was in between Squire Irene's training. Bahara says that they were, but adds that they will go now. Urain, with authority, commands him again, reminding him that the Baron is looking for him. Bahara is utterly confused, but he leaves. As he does, he thinks that Echinacea was acting like she's afraid of nothing, but he's sure he saw her getting terrified after hearing that Urain was here. Now, it's the two of them. Urain speaks first, saying that if the sparring quest is burdensome, she can leave it. She says that it wasn't burdensome, just undeserved. She adds that she's glad for his cloak and apologizes for that, saying she'll return it to him soon. He comes, handing her the crushed sash, saying it seemed like it was uncomfortable after all. Deep down, she thinks that of course it was. She then asks him if she can ask something. She wonders if he remembers her, and if he hates her for that. She says to him out loud that he told her he saw her during last year's birthday. She wonders if he's testing her or what, because her head is full of thoughts. Even though she's never spoken to him directly, she wonders, how did he know? Who is she to him? Urain says that he simply noticed. She points out if it's because of her hair color. Setting aside something from her hair, he says it was personal interest. She asks him what he means by that, but he insists that it's something to be discussed after the sparring conquest. She points out that he himself said she can give up if she doesn't feel like it. Urain says that he did say that, but again he really wants to spar with her. As he is leaving, Val thinks to himself, what if that guy actually knows something? But she scoffs at him for calling Urain that guy. He asks her to let him clash with Frangiosa. That way, he'll be able to talk with him or they can talk directly. But Echinacea is like, no, it'll be better if he doesn't talk. Urain gives people headaches, but she says that the monster subjugation is just around the corner, and they'll see how Urain acts if something happens to Bahara. After all, he will never let Bahara die like that. As she is thinking about this, a cheerful girl opens the door, complimenting Echinacea's dress, and, on the basis of that, asks her to join their club. It is Fatima's second year who approaches Echinacea and asks her to join the Wisdom Club. Echinacea knows the other clubs didn't come near her after hearing the rumors about her. But still, Fatima is the one trying to recruit her. As Echinacea walks away, she tells Fatima that she's not going to join any club, so it would be better if Fatima stopped trying to recruit her. After all, she's not going to get accepted by any club. Fatima jumps in front of her and declares that they're all fools. After all, the vice president of her club is screaming that Echinacea is a once-in-a-lifetime type of talent. So of course, she wants her to join the club. Echinacea thinks that maybe Fatima's persistence in recruiting her is genuine. But again, she also considers that it might be because Fatima isn't treating her based on the rumors. Or maybe her face is just Fatima's type, since Fatima seems to have a thing for pretty faces. Fatima adds that Echinacea is one of the last on her recruitment list. Echinacea asks, who else is on the list? Fatima says the first was the owner of the Giosa, then Mikhail, the younger brother of Sir Teresa. Echinacea asks if she is the last one. Fatima says no, there is one more. After all, she is her roommate, Alice Winterbell. But Fatima adds that Alice seems to be in a slump. Seeing Echinacea's reaction, Fatima comments that it's kind of weird. After all, even though they're from the same area, they call each other quite formally. She mentions that the 9th training ground is the place where Alice usually trains and suggests that Echinacea should go see it for herself. After all, it might be that the duel between the two of them on the first day is the reason Alice is in a slump. This makes Echinacea flinch. If that really is the reason, then Fatima leaves after saying that since she's shared this information, if the two of them get back on good terms, she wants them both to join her club. Echinacea decides to see for herself. She finds Alice in the forest, really working out a lot. But her sword isn't what it used to be. Once Alice's blade had been swift, precise, refined, and elegant, like a finely crafted sculpture. But now her blade is filled with hesitation, her form crushed because of their duel. It's just a matter of erasing that after-image she left in Alice's sword. But if it were that easy, Alice wouldn't be in a slump. Then again, meddling in someone's swordsmanship is also discourteous. Besides, who is a lady who hasn't even learned how to use a sword trying to advise her? So Alice must have taken it as an insult. It's right for her to leave. But Echinacea thinks that she was the one who put that after-image in the sword, so it's only right for her to interfere. Seeing that Echinacea is here, Alice asks what she's doing. Echinacea says she came to spar with her. Alice finds it quietly disrespectful for someone to suddenly step into someone's training, call them names, and then ask for a duel. Echinacea responds that she didn't want to call her out, that's why she stepped in instead. But Alice tells herself that interrupting is even worse than calling someone out. After all, anyone who wields the sword without any law, how are they any better than ruffians? Echinacea asks her if she's going to duel or not. She mocks Alice, saying she just wanted to warm up, and that she heard Alice has been working out a lot lately. So she wonders how weird is it that Alice still hasn't improved. Alice stands and tells herself that she's ready. She can come at her. Echinacea thanks her and dares her sword toward Alice. Alice fully defends. Both swords crash, and Echinacea says they should skip the pleasantries. Alice thinks that unlike before, Echinacea's defending and attacks are overwhelming. No matter what, she immediately regains her balance with precision and speed. This time, she's really close, but Alice just barely dodges the attack. Alice is taken aback at this strike. This technique, flexibly riding the opponent's center. It's the same swordsmanship used in their duel a few days ago, but then she thinks that something might be different. The swordsmanship is similar, but it's completely on a different level. Elegant movements, sharp and swift attacks. Even her movements are refined. Echinacea is executing her sword style with great perfection. Echinacea hits her again. This time, it makes Alice fall to the ground. She goes to move her sword, asking if Alice is going to continue. In her thoughts, she tells herself that she has done everything she could. After all, if Alice were like bread, she would have thrown tantrums or not even known what Echinacea did. If she weren't serious about her sword, she would have been triggered or fallen into despair. And if she were petty, she would have been consumed by inferiority. Echinacea tells her that if she doesn't want to, they can end it here. But Alice takes her sword from the ground and says it's fine, they can continue. Alice asks her what she did to her, but Echinacea simply says they only sparred like a few cadets. Still, Alice can't understand why. After that, her swordsmanship completely changed. Echinacea insists it has nothing to do with her, and that it was all Alice's own hard work. During that match, Alice realizes something, and she had thought Echinacea had no interest in the sword and didn't want to become a knight. She finally apologizes for judging her based solely on her appearance. After all, Echinacea takes the task more seriously than anyone. Echinacea sees that the look in Alice's eyes is completely different from before. A gaze filled with discovery, wonder, and awe, as if marveling at something new and brilliant. That look is filled with genuine respect, but Echinacea, embarrassed, brushes it off, saying she really doesn't like the sword, and it's all right if she doesn't. Alice just smiles at this, while Echinacea tells her to walk a little farther away because she reeks of sweat. The two of them engage in some bickering later. In the dorm room, Val asks her why she didn't use any mana yesterday. She responds that Alice was being so serious that she got swept up in the moment. Val can't believe she's such an idiot, and complains that now she's using her mana just for makeup. Echinacea snaps at him to shut up. After all, her hand is more of a hassle right now. Val says he doesn't even have the strength to lift a finger, and she's whining about not being able to eat with her hand. She tells him to just shut up and fix her hair. Just like Val said, when she woke up this morning, she saw that breakfast was neatly set on the table, with no note attached, but it's clear it was from Alice. Right after yesterday's match, her kindness seems so pure. Echinacea is not used to this, and honestly doesn't know how to handle it all. Now, Bahara asks Echinacea if she really thinks she'll be in the top 3, and if she's really confident slacking off like this. After all, people say not to underestimate the warnings. Echinacea says she's not underestimating anything, it's just that she knows very well where her own skill level stands. Bahara starts laughing, saying he likes her confidence. She's done grooming the main, so she asks him what's next. He says they'll stop here, after all, since tomorrow is the ranking match. Bahara assures her it's fine. He has to see Yuerin in the afternoon. But then he suddenly remembers that last day when he went to Heron, the Baron said he never called him to come. Now he thinks maybe Yuerin misinterpreted it. She calls him out, but he brushes it off, saying it's nothing and that they should just clean things up quickly. As he leaves, he wishes her good luck for her match tomorrow. She then sits to rest and cool down a little. Val has seen her injured before but never hurt like this. She tells him she still needs to get used to this body. After all, it's not yet used to training. A senior comes up to her, saying he knew she'd be here, but she doesn't seem so thrilled to see him. She asks if there's something he wants from her. He says it's about the upcoming ranking match. Since they don't have official records, participants are drawn by lot, so he asks her to draw one. While she draws it, he mentions he's heard she's aiming for one of the top 3 positions, because it would be a joke if she didn't, considering she's the captain squire. She draws number 8. The senior tells her that's really bad luck, because her first opponent is Mikhail. She remembers it all too clearly, that moment when she lost control. He was the one she killed in Azenka, the blonde knight, hiding a boy in her arms who looked exactly like her. The image is still buried deep in her memory. Bread, her next opponent if she wins, will follow Mikhail. But now, she's wondering, was this bracket really random? She senses the presence of Yuerin. She thinks that if he were to fetch Sylphid, he should be at the stables. So why is he here, at the lake? She wonders if he's here to confirm whether she's really that cursed sword demon. If so, it makes sense that he's showing up here. After all, from his perspective, she's an unstable killer who might lash out at anyone. And if he really doesn't remember, she wonders if he was watching her just like this last year. She's sure that this isn't going to turn into some noble romance. The senior calls for her attention, asking if she's even listening. She asks what he was talking about. He tells her that Bread wants to apologize to her, and he thinks he's made a lot of mistakes and regrets them deeply. He adds that she can decline if she wants. Just because someone apologizes doesn't mean she has to forgive them. She thinks that he does try, that he does seem really sorry, but she's also sure he's scheming something. So she asks the senior where Bread wants to meet. He replies that Bread wants to meet her tonight. But before he can add more, Yuerin comes from behind, asking if there's been a fight between the cadets. The senior responds that it was just a little fight between Bread and Echinacea, while Echinacea and Yuerin stare at each other. Echinacea reflects on the situation, convinced that whether it is Ion or Brad plotting something, there is no need to involve Yuerin. She keeps her thoughts to herself and makes it clear that the matter is personal, emphasizing that she and Yuerin are not close in that way. Turning her attention to Senior, she politely asks him to inform Brad that if he truly wishes to apologize, he should come and find her himself. The senior agrees without hesitation, assuring her that the message will be delivered. Yuerin, however, intervenes before the senior can fully withdraw, asking if there is anything else he needs to convey to Echinacea. The question startles the senior slightly, especially when Yuerin adds that he has something to discuss with her, and implies that the senior should leave if his task is complete. Understanding the cue, the senior quickly expresses his acknowledgement and takes his leave. Once they are alone, Yuerin mentions that there may be something he needs to help her with. His tone carries a hint of uncertainty, which confuses Echinacea. She apologizes, admitting that she did not quite understand what he meant. In response, he turns his face away, brushing it off as nothing important, and simply instructs her to follow him. As they walk, Echinacea cannot help but wonder about his intentions. All she truly desires at that moment is to retreat to her bed, bury herself beneath the covers, and sleep away her exhaustion. Yet despite her weariness, she finds her attention drawn to him. His back appears strikingly beautiful, and his hair resembles threads of spun silver, catching her gaze no matter how many times she looks. After a short while, Yuerin asks her to wait. Left standing there, Echinacea begins to suspect that he must be running a high fever, given his unusual behavior. When he finally returns, he hands her something and advises her not to push herself too hard. He explains that on demanding days, only the Heavenly Knights are permitted to use antibiotic syrup, and even something as simple as ginger tea with honey is considered a luxury. What surprises her most is that even Baraha, who had been with her the entire morning, failed to notice that she was unwell. Yet somehow, Yuerin did. A strange feeling stirs within her, something she cannot quite define. It is both tangy and sweet, unfamiliar yet not unpleasant. A thought crosses her mind, hesitant but persistent. Could it be that he was worried about her? The possibility unsettles her in an unexpected way. At the same time, she quietly hopes that he does not recall their first meeting at her last birthday banquet, nor recognize that they had crossed paths again in Azenka. Time passes, and the atmosphere shifts as the freshman ranking match begins. A voice breaks through the murmur of the crowd, questioning why someone is staring so intently at the stands. The boy in question is Mikhail. Standing nearby, Theodore follows his gaze and remarks with curiosity, asking whether the girl he is watching is truly Haze Round's opponent. He refers to the rumors surrounding her, how she supposedly gained her position unfairly, and then casually mocks the situation. Theodore continues, teasing Mikhail by calling the girl strikingly attractive, even going so far as to refer to Mikhail himself as, quote, angel. The nickname immediately provokes irritation. Mikhail's temper flares, and he sharply warns Theodore not to call him that again, his tone carrying the weight of a genuine threat, as if questioning whether Theodore has a death wish. Regaining his composure, Mikhail asserts his determination. He declares that no matter who his opponent is, he will claim first place and secure a position in the monster subjugation team. In his mind, this victory is more than just a rank, it is a chance to change how his sister sees him. He no longer wants to be regarded as the frail youngest sibling who could not even lift a sword, but rather as a proud cadet of the Heavenly Knights. Theodore, however, does not take him seriously and continues to mock him. This only aggravates Mikhail further, and he snaps at him to stop. Theodore, still unconvinced, remarks that Mikhail seems overly confident and questions what will happen if he loses to that girl. Mikhail reacts immediately, dismissing the idea with disbelief. He cannot fathom losing to someone he assumes cheated her way into the ranking. Theodore counters by pointing out how suspicious it is for someone to be selected as a squire on the very first day. He suggests that this match will finally reveal her true abilities. Their attention is suddenly drawn elsewhere. They notice Alice Winterbell standing with her, engaged in conversation. This is unusual, as the two are known for not getting along. The sight of them speaking so casually raises questions about when their relationship might have changed. As Mikhail observes her more closely, he catches sight of her smiling. The expression catches him off guard, stirring an unfamiliar reaction within him. A faint blush spreads across his face, and in a moment of frustration, he strikes himself, as if trying to snap out of it. Theodore notices and asks what is wrong, but Mikhail dismisses it, insisting it is nothing. Internally, he scolds himself, reminding himself to focus. He questions what he is even thinking, attempting to push aside the distraction. Soon, the announcement echoes across. Cadet number 7, Mikhail, is called forward, followed by Cadet number 8, Echinacea. A formal declaration is made: mercy and grace to the victor, acceptance and peace to the loser. The words carry a solemn weight, invoking honor and justice as the guiding principles of the duel. With that, the match begins. Mikhail prepares himself, relying on the swordsmanship of the family, a specialized style that emphasizes powerful counterattacks built upon solid defense, sacrificing speed for precision and strength. It is a technique of great prestige, one that even his sister Teresa mastered on her path to knighthood. Confident in his training, Mikhail believes victory is already within his grasp, yet his focus falters. His thoughts drift back to the image of a girl in a dress, and irritation builds within him at his own distraction. He blames her for disrupting his concentration, calling her slow and dawdling in his mind, urging her to hurry. Regardless of whether she is a commander's squire or holds any other title, he resolves to crush her with his superior swordsmanship. However, the moment the match truly begins, everything changes. In a swift and decisive movement, she closes the distance between them. Before Mikhail can properly react, she disarms him, sending his sword flying from his grasp with effortless precision. Silence falls for a brief moment before the result is announced. The winner is Echinacea. The crowd erupts into whispers, confusion spreading rapidly. Spectators struggle to comprehend what they have just witnessed. Disbelief hangs in the air as they question whether Cadet Mikhail, so confident, so certain of his victory, has truly been defeated so easily. The outcome of the match leaves Mikhail seething. Overcome with frustration, he abruptly turns and begins to walk away. Theodore quickly calls out to him, concern evident, as he asks whether he is all right. He tries to reassure him, saying that he is fine, that everyone makes mistakes sometimes, and that he should not be too hard on himself. But Mikhail immediately rejects that idea. He insists that it was not a mistake, repeating it with intensity, and then demands to know whether Theodore truly did not see it. This only confuses Theodore further, prompting him to ask what exactly Mikhail is referring to. Instead of explaining, Mikhail brushes him off, telling him that if he does not understand, then he should just remain clueless. In his view, people can only perceive as much as they already know. Theodore is left bewildered, wondering if Mikhail has lost his sanity and questioning what he is even talking about. Meanwhile, Mikhail's thoughts churn with agitation. He cannot shake the feeling that she is something abnormal, someone he has never encountered before. To him, she is a complete anomaly. After a brief pause, Mikhail regains a semblance of composure and states that they should go. Theodore asks where they are heading, but Mikhail clarifies that they need to keep watching. They cannot afford to miss a single one of her matches. Theodore, still skeptical, questions whether Mikhail feels no shame in losing to a girl. However, Mikhail dismisses the remark, stating that once the ranking battles are over, no one will feel ashamed of losing to her. Elsewhere, Echinacea quietly leaves the arena. As she walks, her thoughts drift back to the duel. Mikhail's swordsmanship had felt familiar. It closely resembled the defensive style Teresa once used against her. The realization confirms what she already knows. He is her brother. Her memories, however, are fragmented. She cannot clearly recall the moment she killed Mikhail in the past. What lingers instead is the haunting sound of his sobbing raw and animalistic, and the crushing sensation of her own pride shattering. The recollection leaves a bitter aftertaste, yet she finds solace in the present. Seeing them both alive again makes everything worthwhile. To her, turning back time has already justified itself. She reflects on how deeply Mikhail admires his sister, viewing her as a role model. Yet, from what she observed, the defensive swordsmanship he inherited does not truly suit him. For Teresa's sake, and perhaps for his own, she considers that, if given the chance, she might offer him some guidance. At that moment, Alice approaches and calls out to her, praising her performance. She notes that Echinacea fought very differently compared to when they last sparred. Echinacea responds by reminding her that she had already asked her to drop the honorifics. Alice hesitates, admitting that she is not quite ready to do that yet. This prompts Echinacea to question whether such a thing truly requires preparation. Their exchange soon shifts to the upcoming match. Echinacea is already aware that the second bout will be between the two of them. As this realization settles in, a spark of anticipation lights up in Alice. A faint glow seems to surround her, as she admits that she has been looking forward to this moment ever since the matchups were announced. Echinacea, correctly referred to as Echinacea, regards the situation with quiet disdain, internally thinking that they are all foolish. She had originally intended to end the matter swiftly, and without drawing any unnecessary attention. However, circumstances unfold differently, and soon it is Echinacea and Alice who are engaged in sparring. The exchange between them is fluid and skillful, their movements precise and controlled, which draws the attention of those watching. As the duel progresses, Echinacea finds herself momentarily distracted, wondering how she could have overlooked eyes like those. Despite her initial reluctance, she concludes that humoring the situation is not entirely unpleasant. Acting on this thought, she delivers a calculated strike, maintaining both composure and efficiency. Around them, murmurs begin to rise among the spectators. There is a growing consensus that she is nothing short of a genius of the century. Observers note that even against someone like Alice, it appears less like a duel and more like a sparring lesson being conducted by her. Some even speculate that if she were capable of using mana, she could rival an official knight. Others remark that the captain must have recognized her talent early on, questioning the rumors that she had entered through favoritism and wondering who could have possibly started such baseless claims. Eventually, a senior approaches Echinacea and offers congratulations, acknowledging her as the #1 candidate among the first years. He remarks that until the next ranking match or duel, she stands firmly at the top. He further notes that when the full Academy ranking battle takes place, tension will spread throughout the ranks, and the upper positions will fall into chaos. Echinacea responds politely, stating that he flatters her, though internally she is only thinking about returning as quickly as possible, finding the entire situation bothersome. The senior continues, expressing that he now understands why the captain chose her as a squire, believing that her talent must have been recognized long ago. He grows curious about her background, noting that her family is not known for swordsmanship, and wonders who trained her or whether she has been under the captain's guidance for a long time. She clarifies that she is entirely self-taught. This answer causes the senior to scoff internally, as he finds it difficult to believe that someone could reach such a level on their own. Echinacea, uninterested in prolonging the conversation, asks for permission to leave, mentioning that she feels tired. The senior agrees immediately, apologizing for taking up her time and acknowledging that she must be exhausted. Meanwhile, Alice observes the interaction from a distance, thinking of it all as a nuisance and almost wishing that Echinacea would simply cause some trouble outright. She approaches Echinacea and inquires about her conversation with the senior, to which Echinacea responds that it was nothing significant, merely a discussion about the first-year ranking. She then shifts the focus, asking Alice if she is doing all right. Alice questions the reason for her concern, prompting Echinacea to mention that her ranking ended up lower than her actual skill level. Alice responds calmly, stating that she does not mind, as she has gained something more valuable than ranking and intends to focus on refining her swordsmanship for the time being. Hearing this, Echinacea reflects internally that such an answer is truly befitting of a knight upright and honest. She compares this sincerity to someone like Ryan and concludes that the two are not even comparable. Calling out to Alice, Echinacea expresses her genuine hope that Alice will become a knight of the azure sky, as she truly embodies what it means to hold that title. She reflects further that until now, she had always viewed swordsmanship merely as a technique for efficiently killing others. However, crossing swords with Alice felt different. It was as though she had been influenced by Alice. Perspective. One that treats the sword with seriousness and integrity. In that moment, Echinacea comes to understand that there are those who wield the sword not to kill, but to protect. Likewise, there are those who pursue the sword as a means of self-discipline, regardless of others. She tells Alice that if she ever feels the need, she should not hesitate to request another sparring match, as she believes that exchanging swords with her would be genuinely enjoyable. This causes Alice to smile warmly, and she expresses her gratitude, stating that she is truly glad to have gotten to know her. Echinacea becomes visibly flustered when Alice suddenly takes hold of her hand, questioning the unexpected gesture. Alice, unbothered, responds simply through her actions, as if there is no issue at all. Echinacea, slightly embarrassed, insists that while it is not forbidden, there is no need to linger, urging that they should return quickly. As they begin to leave together, Alice casually remarks that she can shower first again today, while Echinacea responds that she had intended to do so regardless. A voice from the crowd remarks that the monster subjugation force assembled this time is far larger than usual, concluding that it must have been arranged under the captain's direct orders. Observers note that, judging by the sheer size of the team, this year's mission is bound to be particularly brutal. They begin to wonder just how dire the conditions in the canyon must be to warrant such preparation. As expected, the top 3 freshmen are all present, and many express anticipation at the opportunity to witness their abilities firsthand during an actual subjugation. Amidst this, Echinacea questions the sudden change of plans, directing her inquiry toward Alice. She recalls that Alice had previously stated her intention to focus solely on refining her swordsmanship for the time being, yet her name now appears prominently on the bulletin board. Alice explains that she recently dueled with the cadet ranked 2nd and successfully exchanged positions. She admits that she did not wish to miss the opportunity to gain real battle experience through this mission. Echinacea responds by pointing out that such experience could be gained later, questioning why Alice insists specifically on participating in the subjugation mission. In response, Alice reveals that her reason is simple. She does not want to miss her first mission alongside Echinacea. This prompts Echinacea to remind her that she had already offered to spar whenever she wished. However, Alice firmly maintains that sparring and real combat are entirely different, emphasizing the irreplaceable value of true battlefield experience. At that moment, Bahara arrives, noticing the two of them and expressing surprise that they have both secured positions in the rankings, especially achieving first place. He acknowledges their accomplishment as impressive. Alice steps forward and greets Bahara respectfully, stating that it is an honor to meet him. Bahara observes that she must be Alice Winterbell, and casually remarks that there is no need for such formality. Echinacea then questions whether he requires something from them. Bahara replies that it is nothing serious, mentioning that they must have already seen the notice. He explains that he simply came to remind them to prepare thoroughly, as regardless of their talent, this will be their first real battle. Alice acknowledges his advice, but also notes that, to her understanding, the Azure Sky Knights are usually dispatched based on incoming requests, whereas this subjugation mission feels somewhat different. Bahara confirms her observation, explaining that every spring, independent of external requests, the Azure Sky Knights select a region where monsters have become unusually rampant and carry out a large-scale subjugation. He adds that such missions also serve as a display of their strength. The designated target this time is White Raven Canyon, a place known for its ominous reputation. He continues by recounting that the canyon became a battlefield around the previous summer. Located near the border, it had been used for an ambush operation, resulting in the deaths of many soldiers. A battlefield where countless lives have been lost inevitably transforms into a breeding ground for monsters not long after. Upon hearing this, Echinacea reflects internally. In her previous life, the Azure Sky Knights had been annihilated, after which monster attacks spread rapidly throughout the nation. Now, however, the captain along with the 3 great officers will be joining this mission, making it a significant operation. She recognizes that this will provide Alice with a valuable opportunity to gain real combat experience, but also understands the importance of staying close and strictly following orders. Alice expresses her gratitude to Bahara for his guidance. Echinacea then asks whether he himself will be participating in the mission. Bahara responds affirmatively, stating that as the vice captain's squire, it is only natural for him to be present. Hearing this, Echinacea becomes certain that something significant is bound to occur during this mission. With that realization, she resolves internally that she must ensure that none of them, including the 2 standing before her, lose their lives. She also understands that she must determine whether any of the Gyosa owners still retain memories of the past that was erased at the entrance to White Raven Canyon on May 12, year 1629 of the Divine Calendar. As these thoughts settle in her mind, Echinacea reflects on her current assignment. She realizes that she has been placed under Captain Yuerin, and this realization surprises her momentarily. Bahara notices her reaction and questions why she appears so taken aback, reminding her that she is, after all, the captain's squire. Echinacea quickly regains her composure and acknowledges this fact. Bahara continues by pointing out that she only has 8 days remaining in her probation period, and given the nature of this subjugation, it is only natural that she would be assigned closely to her lord. He emphasizes that her duty is to remain by his side and provide support at all times. She responds with a clear understanding, affirming that she will fulfill her role properly. At that moment, Val remarks that the situation is rather convenient, as it allows close observation of the captain. Meanwhile, Bahara explains another practical matter to Echinacea. As a squire, she is expected to set up a personal tent right beside her lord's. He assumes that she likely has no prior experience with such tasks and offers to help her, assuring her that it would take no more than 30 minutes. However, Echinacea firmly insists that she is capable of handling it on her own. Just then, murmurs begin to spread among the other candidates. Their whispers draw attention toward her, suggesting that she is unwilling to engage in physical labor and attributing it to her being a lady. This unwanted attention immediately becomes a concern for her, especially considering the possibility of encountering other Gyoza owners under such scrutiny. Amid this tension, another voice makes a mocking remark toward Bahara, commenting sarcastically on the situation and its apparent warmth. Bahara recognizes the speaker and responds with visible irritation, clarifying that he is merely assisting a junior. The man is revealed to be Sir Dietrich. The moment Echinacea hears his name, recognition strikes her. She instinctively lowers her face, recalling his distinct red hair. There is no doubt in her mind. This is the same Dietrich who once escaped while Teresa held her back. Attempting to deliver news of Zenka to Yuerin, Dietrich observes her calmly and remarks that her presence here indicates Teresa was unable to stop her. His words ignite a surge of emotion within Echinacea, and for a brief moment, hostility rises between them. The memory of that past encounter resurfaces vividly in her mind. The image of blood splashing, Teresa's struggle, and the lingering presence of dried blood. The intensity of those memories nearly overwhelms her, but she forces herself to regain control. She analyzes the situation carefully. The weapon Dietrich carries is merely an ordinary rapier. If he had awakened his Gyoza, he would still possess it. This realization leads her to a crucial conclusion. Dietrich is no longer a Gyoza owner. At present, he is nothing more than a knight apprentice who has yet to reach mastery. In other words, he no longer retains any memory of the past events. Meanwhile, Dietrich casually shifts the conversation, teasing Bahara by asking whether Echinacea is his girlfriend. Bahara immediately denies it, stating clearly that she is not. Dietrich, however, continues to joke, implying that perhaps she is simply not his girlfriend yet. Bahara urges him to stop making such remarks, clearly uncomfortable with the implication. Dietrich then questions Bahara's intentions, asking why he would go out of his way to help her set up a tent if there were no personal interest involved. Bahara responds that there is nothing wrong with assisting a junior. Dietrich counters this by pointing out that such actions can easily be misunderstood, and suggests that if Bahara truly cares about her reputation, he should be more mindful of how his behavior appears to others. Bahara pauses and looks around, realizing that others are indeed watching and forming their own conclusions. At that moment, Echinacea steps in and states that if he is concerned about her reputation, then he need not worry. Dietrich observes that she never actually requested Bahara's help in the first place. She responds calmly that regardless of whether she asked for it or not, the result remains the same help was given. Dietrich accepts this and shifts his focus. Seeing her reminds him of something he intended to say. Echinacea briefly wonders if his comment will concern her clothing, but he dismisses that idea, stating that her attire does not bother him at all. He then mentions that he has known a few geniuses, particularly their captain, who now resides above the clouds. He recalls they were once roommates at the academy. From his observations, he concludes that all geniuses share a common trait. They are all somewhat unhinged. Each one expresses it differently, but in essence, they all possess a certain madness. As an ordinary individual, he admits that it is a world he cannot fully comprehend, so he chooses not to question it. He uses her clothing as an example of something he simply accepts, without trying to understand. Echinacea questions whether that was the sole reason he approached her, but he clarifies that it was not. He then openly states that the dress she is wearing suits her very well, and that he finds it beautiful. He expresses that he likes it, and suggests that they should get along moving forward. With that, he casually takes his leave, telling them to take care. As he departs, whispers arise once more among the onlookers. Some remark that he is likely to become the next Gyiosa owner and note his unusual personality. Echinacea, on the other hand, finds herself wondering whether Dietrich had always been like this. Attention then shifts to a broader explanation of Gyiosa. The Gyiosa, known as Lemingiosaalises, is described as a sword of conquest, taking the form of a twin blade. Another Gyiosa, belonging to Akatsuki, manifests as a rapier with a blade that glimmers with a red, flame-like light. Its material is said to originate from human desire, specifically the yearning to conquer, ambition, greed, possession, the intense emotions felt in moments of triumph, and the burning will to sacrifice everything in order to gain something. These are the elements that forge such a weapon. This is known as the Sword of Conquest, a blade that resonates with the twin blade Dimo and Giosa. This connection raises an intriguing possibility regarding the relationship between these weapons. However, to fully understand that connection, one must wait and look forward to the next revelation surrounding Gyiosa. Echinacea lets out a quiet sigh, feeling as though a storm has just passed. The tension from earlier slowly settles, though its weight still lingers faintly in her chest. Bahara approaches her soon after, offering an apology. He admits that he had only intended to help, but in doing so, he failed to think ahead and did not consider how his actions might affect her reputation. Echinacea reassures him without hesitation. She explains that his help was not given out of any misplaced notion tied to her being a lady, but rather because she is his fellow squire. From her perspective, there is no reason for him to apologize. Her response eases him, and he expresses his gratitude for her understanding. With that matter resolved, Bahara informs her that he will be taking his leave. He mentions that his barracks are located near the vice captain, and if anything goes wrong, she should not hesitate to seek him out. Echinacea acknowledges this and thanks him once again. Once he departs, she gathers herself and turns her attention back to her responsibilities. There is still work to be done. As time passes, night falls, and Echinacea is now inside her tent. Val notices her quiet focus and questions what has captured her attention. She reveals that she is looking at the cloak given to her by Yuerin. She intends to return it that very night. This immediately sparks excitement in Val, who wonders if she plans to meet him in person. However, Echinacea dismisses the idea. She does not dare to face him directly. Since he has not yet returned, she intends to leave the cloak behind while she has the opportunity. Val comments on her approach, remarking that sneaking around in such a manner lacks dignity. Echinacea quietly insists that she has no other choice. Avoiding unnecessary encounters is essential, and she cannot afford to take risks. With that resolve, she makes her way into his tent. The moment she steps inside, something feels off. There is a presence within the barracks. She realizes too late that she has lowered her guard. She should have checked before entering. Just then, a candle is lit, illuminating the space. The figure inside is revealed to be Yuerin. He notices her immediately and questions what has brought her there. Echinacea explains that she came to return the cloak and apologizes for the delay. Yuerin glances at the cloak before looking back at her. He steps closer, taking it from her hands. As she observes him, a subtle unease stirs within her. He feels different tonight, though she cannot immediately determine why. Yuerin questions whether returning the cloak is truly her only reason for coming. She confirms that it is, though internally she finds herself wondering why he would ask such a thing. She then expresses her gratitude for the medicine and the ginger tea he had given her earlier. Yuerin asks if they were helpful, and she responds that they helped her greatly. At this, he smiles. The sight catches her completely off guard. His expression is unguarded, almost gentle, as though there is a trace of genuine affection in the way he looks at her. In that instant, her eyes widen. A memory surfaces, an image of him from the past. The contrast between that memory and the man standing before her now unsettles her deeply, leaving her momentarily frozen in place. She thinks that this is ridiculous. Having such thoughts feels like an insult to Yuerin. Turning away, she excuses herself and prepares to take her leave. Yuerin calls out to her, asking her to wait, and wonders whether she has ever faced monsters before. At the mention of monsters, her thoughts drift. When she was consumed by the cursed sword, its runes were always filled with emerging creatures, and back when she wandered through the gathering nights, hunting monsters had been unavoidable. There had even been a time when she was trapped in that dreadful place, barely managing to escape with her life. Yet she cannot bring herself to reveal any of this aloud, so she simply answers that she has seen monsters before, adding that they are nothing like humans in battle. Yuerin wonders how she learned to fight such beings, and she replies that she has experience to some extent. This prompts him to state that he does not doubt her swordsmanship, but he cautions that monsters are unpredictable and advises her to stay close to him and not act recklessly. She questions this, wondering how he can claim not to doubt her skill when he has never truly seen her wield a blade. Yuerin explains that he witnessed her entrance examination and is aware of the outcome of her ranking duel, acknowledging that she is exceptional. She turns away, offering thanks for what she considers high praise, and apologizes for disturbing his rest. Yuerin grows slightly saddened and clarifies that he was not sleeping, assuring her that there is no need for concern. He tells her to return and rest well. As she walks away, Val's voice surfaces, mocking the situation and calling it ridiculous that Yuerin warns her about monsters when she herself could easily overpower him. Echinacea immediately silences Val, ordering him to stop and forbidding him from even mentioning Yuerin's name again. Val responds with confusion, pointing out that he has long since died and questioning why she is being so sensitive. Back in her tent, Echinacea reflects on the encounter, wondering why Yuerin had made that particular expression and what thoughts had crossed his mind when he spoke. She finds herself unable to understand. That night, she dreams of a grand ballroom filled with brilliant colors. In the dream, she is dancing with someone whose face remains unclear, yet his mysterious smile lingers. He feels warm and gentle, so much so that it stirs an emotion within her that makes her feel as though she might cry. By the next day, Yuerin addresses everyone, announcing that from this moment forward, they will begin the White Crow Canyon subjugation. The atmosphere in a place like this feels intensely oppressive, so much so that it would not be strange if a monster were to suddenly show up at any moment. Bahara turns toward Echinacea and asks whether she is mentally prepared for what lies ahead. She replies that she is more or less ready, though a trace of uncertainty lingers within her thoughts. At the same time, she wonders why he is not accompanying them. Bahara explains that he will remain in the barracks with the master, since someone must stay behind to guard the camp and ensure its safety. From a rational standpoint, Bahara is supposed to die during this monster subjugation, yet no one truly knows how his death occurs. The only clue that exists is that the event takes place on a rainy night, an ominous detail that weighs heavily on the mind. Bahara notices her troubled expression and asks why she looks so uneasy. He reminds her to take care of herself and warns her not to leave the commander's side under any circumstances. She acknowledges his advice, thinking to herself that they are expected to return before nightfall, so everything should remain under control. Soon, the scene shifts to the battlefield, where all the soldiers are actively fighting the monsters. The sheer number of creatures is overwhelming, creating a chaotic and terrifying spectacle. Observers reflect that the wall must have endured a brutal siege, recalling reports that boiling oil had been poured onto the enemy in desperate defense. It becomes clear why the monsters have overrun the place. The devastation is too great to ignore. Yet no matter how numerous the monsters appear, when they stand before the master, they are reduced to nothing more than walking corpses. At that moment, Yuerin's single motion, merely a shift of his stance, is enough to wipe out a large portion of the monsters. Many fail to notice his sword at first, but the weapon carries a long and powerful history. Long ago, a blacksmith is said to have used humanity's sense of justice itself as the material to forge this blade. Into it, he engraves the very essence of duty that humanity holds sacred. Humans regard this weapon with awe and reverence. The holy sword Langiosa, known as an amplifier of mana and a destroyer of evil. The sword possesses a soul of its own, one that grows stronger whenever it faces evil. However, it refuses to accept a killer as its wielder, choosing only those deemed worthy of its purpose. Unlike ordinary swords, which can be carried and stored in conventional ways, sacred weapons like this can be stored and summoned through engraved sigils once a person becomes their rightful owner. But not with Langiosa. Unlike other sacred weapons that can be stored through sigils, she has to carry it on her back at all times. The sword appears white and beautiful, almost divine in its presence, yet it is never truly granted to her, just as Yuerin himself is never granted to her fate in any lasting way. She recalls hearing that Yuerin has no backup unit assigned to him, yet the more she reflects on it, the more it makes sense. With a skill like his, there is no real need for one. At that moment, she notices that one of the monsters suddenly grabs Echinacea's foot. In response, Echinacea reacts instantly, delivering a swift kick that frees her from its grip. Without hesitation, she follows with a precise strike of her blade, cutting the creature down in a single, decisive motion. Nearby, Theo points her out to Mikhail, urging him to observe carefully. He remarks that there is not even a speck of dirt on her face, as though a monster has found another monster and turned her into a spy among them. Meanwhile, Echinacea herself is not thinking about glory or recognition. Instead, she worries about her boots, since she truly likes them and does not want them ruined in the mud and blood of battle. As she steadies herself, she notices the storm clouds beginning to gather overhead. The sky darkens, heavy with the promise of rain, and she realizes they should return to camp soon, because remaining here any longer will become dangerous. She glances back and notices Yuerin standing still, his gaze fixed on the sky. After assessing the changing weather, he declares that it is enough for the day. He announces that the weather is turning, so they will postpone the afternoon hunt and return to the captain immediately. At his command, all the soldiers respond in unison, acknowledging him with disciplined obedience. After issuing his orders, he turns toward Echinacea. The two of them hold each other's gaze for a brief but noticeable moment. He commends her for her efforts, acknowledging her good work and instructing her to rest once they return to camp. As he turns and leaves, Echinacea feels a strange sensation stirring within her chest, an uneasy feeling that she cannot easily explain. Val speaks up, sensing that something feels certain and familiar about the situation. Before he can finish his thought, she answers him, acknowledging what he is about to say. He remembers the day Bahara died, and not only that, he remembers everything that had once been erased from memory. Back at her tent, Val questions Echinacea, wondering whether Yuerin is keeping watch over Bahara. He suggests that perhaps they should simply observe from a distance, because if Yuerin truly remembers, then he will take care of matters himself. Echinacea reflects deeply on Yuerin, and at last she begins to understand the meaning behind his earlier words. She realizes that Yuerin likely retains memories from before the regression. If that assumption is true, then new questions begin to form in her mind. She wonders why he continues to keep her alive if he truly remembers the past. She questions why he does not attempt to kill her, and why he shows no visible hatred toward her, even though she is the one who once brutally killed him. Her thoughts spiral further as she wonders how much regret he must have felt in the past, and how deeply he might have resented her for what she did. Yet the situation remains deeply confusing, because his behavior contradicts her expectations. She cannot reconcile the memory of her past cruelty with the kindness he has shown her in the present. She reasons that if he truly remembers everything, then there is no logical way he would behave so calmly and generously toward her. Perhaps he remembers fragments but lacks proof, leading him to observe her cautiously rather than act immediately. She concludes that he likely does not know who turned back time, and therefore he is investigating her. In his eyes, she is merely a cadet who did not exist in the past timeline, someone suspicious enough to warrant careful scrutiny. At the same time, she suspects that he might be consciously testing whether she is the demon bound to the cursed sword. That possibility feels like the only explanation that makes sense. In her mind, she imagines that he is deliberately keeping her close, watching her movements carefully until evidence reveals her guilt. She fears that once he becomes certain that Echinacea is the demon of the cursed sword, he will act without hesitation. Before she can continue her train of thought, a strange and unfamiliar sound echoes nearby. The noise instantly breaks her concentration. Val also reacts, sensing that something is wrong. Suddenly, she notices movement in the distance and realizes what is happening. She informs Val that Yuerin is heading somewhere with clear urgency, as though he has detected something that demands immediate attention. Echinacea declares that she will also follow him, yet Val questions what would happen if she were caught. She reassures him that she intends to erase her presence with magic, believing that this method will be effective enough that Yuerin will not notice her presence. Val continues to question whether she truly needs to go that far, worrying about what might happen at the camp while Yuerin is away. However, she explains that she does not plan to follow him too far. The simple fact that he has left the barracks already proves that he knows something, and to her, this moment presents the perfect opportunity to confirm exactly what his objective is. Yuerin is seen moving ahead, focused on his own task, while Echinacea carefully follows behind him at a distance. Val wonders aloud about the reason for his return to the canyon, questioning whether he has simply grown bored and decided to hunt monsters again. That thought causes Echinacea to reflect that, although many people assume Yuerin behaves recklessly like that, to her it appears that he is searching for something specific rather than acting out of boredom. Soon it becomes clear that Yuerin is indeed searching with purpose. After scanning the surroundings, he finally draws his sword. Echinacea remains confused, uncertain about what he is trying to accomplish. Without hesitation, he swings the blade and slashes through one of the rocks nearby. As the rock is torn apart, hidden movement is revealed. Several monsters emerge from the opening, crawling outward from within the stone. The creatures are specters. At that moment, realization dawns on Echinacea. She begins to understand the kind of accident that must have caused Bahara's death in the past. Specters are known to be among the most dangerous types of monsters. They cling to humans and take control of them, turning the victim into their unwilling host. Master-level knights possess the strength to resist possession, but those who are not masters remain helpless, forced to watch as mere spectators within their own bodies. Specters can spawn within camps without warning, and when that happens, many ordinary members become possessed and slaughtered without mercy. Bahara must have been caught in such chaos during the earlier tragedy. That realization explains why Yuerin has come here alone. He is unaffected by specters, making him uniquely suited to handle such threats. If that is true, then he is the only GIOS owner who still remembers these events. If there had been other owners who remembered, they would have arrived beforehand to deal with the specters before disaster struck. Echinacea cannot help but wonder why, among all people, Yuerin is the only one who retains these memories. Val urges her to look ahead, pointing out the overwhelming number of specters gathering around them. The danger appears immense, yet Echinacea remains calm. She reassures herself that everything will be fine. Langiosa is known as the strongest sword when facing evil, and, as she believes, a single strike from it is enough to eliminate even large numbers of specters. She reflects on how formidable both Langiosa and Yuerin are together. After watching the threat subside, she suggests that they should return to camp. As she walks back, relief begins to settle within her thoughts. She silently expresses gratitude that the specters have been eliminated. With them gone, Bahara and the others will no longer die as they once did. For the first time, she feels that she can allow herself a small sense of relief. However, that calm feeling vanishes almost instantly when an unfamiliar sensation washes over her. Something feels wrong. Her gaze shifts toward the barracks, and Val immediately notices her sudden tension, questioning what has happened. Without wasting another second, she breaks into a run, urgently declaring that a node has appeared. Val is stunned, unable to understand why a node would manifest in that location. Echinacea herself admits that she does not know the reason either. If Yuerin had been aware of its existence, he would never have allowed the camp to be established in that area. That realization leads her to conclude that this node is something new, an event that never occurred before. The danger it poses is absolute. If anyone is dragged into it, survival will be impossible. Around them, cadets begin shouting frantically, ordering everyone to evacuate immediately. Panic spreads throughout the camp as people rush in every direction. Amid the chaos, Echinacea notices that alias Fatima, the other GIOS owner, appears to have evacuated successfully. Yet one troubling thought lingers in her mind. She cannot see Bahara anywhere. Her eyes continue searching until she finally spots him. At that same moment, a senior cadet calls out to Bahara. The senior explains that he has checked all of the cadet barracks except for one, the freshman barracks assigned to Echinacea. Because she is a squire, her quarters are separated from the others. Bahara acknowledges that he knows the exact location of her barracks and decides that they should head there together. The senior expresses gratitude, admitting that he could not approach alone because of the node's dangerous proximity. At that very moment, Echinacea desperately calls out to Bahara, urging him not to go any closer because the area is far too dangerous. However, she quickly realizes that her voice will not reach him across such distance. The chaos of the crowd and the overwhelming noise prevent her words from carrying, and there are too many people nearby for her to safely use mana. Soon, Bahara reaches Echinacea's tent and calls out, searching for her presence. No response comes. The tent is empty, giving the impression that she has already evacuated ahead of time. Believing that she is safe, he decides that they should leave immediately now that the barracks have been checked. Unfortunately, the node looms dangerously close beside them. At that same moment, Echinacea shouts once again, urging Bahara to escape from the area. He feels relief at the thought that she is already safe somewhere else. Yet in the next instant, betrayal unfolds. The senior cadet suddenly pushes Bahara forward, forcing him directly into the node. The force pulls him inward as he is dragged helplessly toward the swirling void. Echinacea screams out Bahara's name in horror as she watches the devastating scene unfold before her eyes. On the other side, she notices the senior cadet trembling uncontrollably, muttering in fear. His body shakes as if overwhelmed by guilt or terror. Echinacea's expression hardens, and she glares at him with burning intensity, her emotions shifting rapidly from panic to fury. We see that Echinacea finally gets up. She looks up and around, noticing that some people are fighting. She never thinks that she would end up in the Nod again. The Nod is a break in severed space, an unknown realm cut off from the world. This space is left behind by the divine sword made from space itself, created by the gods, Langiosa. Unlike Kairos, who can contemplate time, Langiosa has the nature of slicing through and drifting across space. The sword's form is completely unknown and never appears even in the records. But whenever and wherever Langiosa passes, torn space is left behind as a nod, serving as living proof of its existence. Val wonders what this place is, noticing that he strangely feels good here. She responds that of course he does, because this nod is not formed above a battlefield. Finally, Senior gets up and shouts, demanding to know what this place is. He wonders if it is a camp, but questions why it is changed like this. She tells him that no, they have arrived inside a nod. He reacts in shock, pointing out the tents around them. She explains that the nature of a nod's interior depends on the environment where it is formed. Langiosa does not create space. Instead, he slices and separates spaces that already exist. He then questions her, asking whether she dragged him into the nod on purpose, even though she knew everything. She replies that of course she did, which makes him lash out, questioning whether she is insane and wondering what she was thinking. She states that she is still deciding something, so it would be best if he remains quiet for now. Senior wonders what she is deciding about, and questions what is wrong with her, feeling as if this is not the Echinacea he knows, because she feels like a completely different person. She then reveals that she is deciding whether she should kill him with her own hands or leave it to Bahara. This leaves him confused, and she explains that she truly tries not to kill people if she can help it, because she has already been through far too much of that. She only wants to live peacefully this time, to eat warm and delicious food, and to be with the people she loves like a normal person. She wants to live without killing or threatening people anymore, but she questions whether she should really treat things that can barely be called human as people. Val pleads with Echinacea, telling her to use him since there is no one else here anyway, because they are inside the nod. She considers that maybe she should, since dragging him around until they find Senior would be too troublesome. It also does not seem like this place will be easy to deal with. Senior then asks Echinacea to calm down for a moment. She responds that she should have been the one targeted by him instead, because she would have simply laughed it off and ignored him. No matter what Senior does to her, she would be fine, but she cannot stand seeing others get hurt. He shouts, asking what she means by saying that he did something, insisting that there must be some misunderstanding. He adds that more importantly, she should be thinking about how they will survive here. She counters that survival is not the problem he should be worrying about right now, and instead tells him that she wants to ask him one thing, whether he is someone capable of feeling remorse. He wonders what she is talking about as he leans in, insisting that he does not understand what she means, and claiming that she is misunderstanding something, saying that what happened was only an accident. At that moment, he secretly takes out a dagger, but before he can do anything, she grabs his hand firmly and concludes that, just as she expected, he absolutely will not change. She throws his dagger away and tells him to stop with the cheap tricks and simply answer her question. Meanwhile, Senior asks her to let go of him, wondering how she is this strong. She questions him, demanding to know why he did it and why he did that to Senior Bahara. Senior once again asks her to release him, still wondering how she possesses such strength. She continues questioning him, asking why he did it and why he did that to Senior Bahara. He finally curses at her and demands that she let him go right now, questioning whether she truly wants to die. She moves forward and grabs his throat, warning him to keep his voice down, because this is not even a proper rift zone and monsters are crawling all over the place. She questions what exactly he thought would come out of his actions. With that, she throws him away and demands that he tell her why he did it, adding that maybe, just maybe, she will spare him if his explanation makes sense. Senior calls her a psycho and declares that she is a monstrous woman. She acknowledges his honesty, but wonders whether he still does not understand the situation he is in. He wonders if she is asking why he pushed Bahara into the rift and questions whether she is seriously asking that. He then shouts that it is because life is not fair. He complains that he worked relentlessly, enduring damp nights, and even taking on the annoying job of catered representative, giving it his all and even more. Yet, according to him, some deserted bumpkin who was not even a professional squire suddenly shows up and becomes the vice commander squire. He continues shouting, questioning why someone he considers an airheaded bimbo in her dress gets named the commander squire on her very first day at the academy. He rants that people who have not put in any effort casually steal what should have been his, insisting that it is not fair. She wonders if that is truly all, questioning whether that is the reason he threw Bahara into a rift over something like that. He scoffs, saying that she walks around without lifting her damn finger, getting lucky and getting handed everything, not even knowing her place. Echinacea questions him, asking if he really thinks she has never worked harder, and whether that is truly how it looks to him. She wonders if he believes everyone else had it easy except him, that they received everything simply because they were lucky, and whether that was the reason he tried to kill someone. That thought makes him a little worried, while Echinacea tells herself to stay calm. She reminds herself that it is okay to be angry, but when she acts, she has to remain calm. If she does not, the cursed sword will swallow her again. On the other hand, the senior thinks that he needs to find a way to get out of this situation. Then he notices a long sword and wonders if he dropped it during the duel. It looks like she has not noticed it yet, and he realizes that this is his chance. While she is letting her guard down, he moves and tries to strike her down. However, before he can act, she has already taken out her sword and pierced him. This leaves him shocked as he notices the sword in her hand, because she had been empty-handed just a second ago. Meanwhile, Val grows excited at the sight of blood, as it has been so long, and the feeling is satisfying. Echinacea tells the senior that she did give him a chance, and he is the one who threw it away. The senior wonders what she truly is, but before he can even find an answer, he is already knocked out. Val thinks that it was satisfying, and that it feels good, as though the killing intent she has been holding back has finally been released. Echinacea thinks to herself that who knows. Val then questions what is wrong, wondering if she feels uneasy or regrets killing him. She replies that it is not exactly regret. Instead, she has revised her resolve. It is about how she is going to live from now on. That realization brings a sense of relief, because if Senior Bahara had been here instead of her, he would not have survived. Just as Kirogyosa had said, there would not be a second chance, and whoever dies now cannot be brought back. She realizes that she might lose the people she loves again, just like in her previous life. That is why, this time, she will raise her sword to protect them. She declares that if others come after her, she might show slight mercy, but if they hurt her people, she will never forgive them. If they harm those she cares about, she will never forgive them, and she is not going to lose anyone again. Val wonders what the hell she is talking about, admitting that he truly does not understand anything she is saying. That makes her think that of course he would not understand. She decides that she has to find Senior Bahara now, and he probably has not gone far. At that very moment, she notices a man devouring someone. She immediately recognizes that it is a horde of monsters inside the rift. There are so many people, and she truly hopes that Bahara is safe. She begins to sense his presence, realizing that this is good. He is not far away. She wonders if he is hiding inside one of those tents. She plans to conceal her presence and move quietly. Finally, she reaches the tent and calls out for Bahara, but he immediately jumps toward her and warns her not to move. Then, as he realizes that it is Echinacea, his eyes widen. Echinacea goes and greets him, while Bahara questions what she is doing there. She replies by asking if he could step aside for a moment and wonders whether he is all right where he was stabbed. Bahara replies that it is nothing, barely a scratch. More importantly, he asks why she is here. She replies that she somehow ended up getting swallowed, and adds that Senior Ryan came in with her as well, but she does not know where he is now. Bahara says that he can die or whatever, then quickly dismisses the matter and tells her to forget it and not worry about him. He explains that they do not have time to go searching, and from now on, she needs to hide here. He says that he has been watching, and the creatures have been attacking each other. It does not seem like they are in real danger until all the shadow soldiers are devoured. She questions what about him, and he replies that he is going to search the other barracks for some food supplies. He mentions that he heard that as long as they hold out inside until the knot dissipates, they can escape. Since they entered the knot without a master, the best strategy is to endure without fighting. She sighs as she thinks that in the past, they could clear out the inside of the knot, then wait for it to vanish on its own before escaping, but things are not like they used to be. She cannot draw the cursed sword in front of her senior, but how long can they last on just rations? To her surprise, Bahara moves forward and pats her, telling her not to worry and not to think too much. Bahara immediately shouts in realization, understanding that this means the starting point is the closest spot to the real world. If so, they might be able to escape through it. Echinacea confirms that this is exactly correct, but she points out that the problem lies in how to locate it. She questions whether he happened to see how the knot was formed. He replies that he did not, explaining that by the time he heard the emergency bell and got outside, it had already expanded. However, he recalls that it did seem to start from the air above the camp center. With that information, there is a higher chance that the starting point is around that area. Echinacea suggests that they should go check the center of the camp. Bahara agrees that this is a good idea, reasoning that even if they are only trying to wait it out, that is likely where the knot will begin to open. He acknowledges that if they manage to get out of here, it will be all thanks to her. She responds that it is all right and insists that they should hurry and focus on finding the starting point. At the same time, Bahara finds himself thinking that this situation is strange. She's not showing the slightest bit of anxiety, even in circumstances like this. He remembers the bold claims he made earlier, yet he has heard that only a very small number of people have ever escaped a knot, and he wonders whether they can truly get out with only their abilities. He calls out to her and questions whether she is not afraid, though he immediately realizes that he speaks without thinking. To his surprise, Echinacea replies that she is not afraid. She reminds him that he said he would protect her and that she would be safe, and she explains that she trusts him because of that. In turn, she asks him to trust her as well, believing that they will escape together. He affirms her words, agreeing that they will indeed escape together. As they step out of the tent, they notice that not many Shadow Lost soldiers remain, making it clear that they will not pass through easily. Echinacea then reveals that she actually has an idea and suggests that they try it. Bahara questions what she is even planning to do with the sword and a blanket. At that very moment, Yuerin arrives at the scene. He looks around at the aftermath, observing the confusion and tension among those present. A deep sense of unease settles over him as he questions what has happened here and struggles to understand what exactly unfolded on the side of the node. The scene shifts as Yuerin turns toward the deputy commander and demands to know what exactly has happened moments earlier. The deputy commander shows clear reluctance, hesitating before speaking, but Yuerin presses him immediately about Echinacea and what has happened to her. At last, the deputy commander explains that it appears she has been swallowed by the node. They have not yet discovered any reliable method to locate sections of a separated node or to enter it from the outside. The only option available to them now is to wait until the wreckage is eventually expelled over time. As he speaks, the deputy commander twitches slightly, preparing to mention Bahara, yet his attention drifts back to Yuerin. He realizes that he has observed Yuerin since the days when he was merely a cadet, watching him through the long 9 years that eventually led him to the rank of commander. Never once during that entire time has he seen Yuerin so shaken. Yuerin has always carried himself with a calm and cold demeanor, never allowing even the faintest flicker of emotion to surface. Now, however, his expression appears dangerously fragile, as though he might collapse or break down at any moment. The deputy commander cannot help but wonder what Echinacea truly means to the commander for him to react in such a way. The scene returns to Bahara, who questions Echinacea about what exactly she is planning to do. In response, she explains that she intends to bundle several materials together and ignite them. Most monsters instinctively react to fire because they associate it with the presence of humans nearby. Bahara immediately recognizes her strategy. She is planning to use the flames as bait. He cannot help but wonder where she learned such a practical and dangerous method, as it resembles the quick-thinking tactics commonly used by mercenaries in the field. Echinacea explains that the knights from her family used to carry out similar actions in the past. She cannot admit the true source of her knowledge, however, as she actually learned the technique while gathering information during her Gyosa-related courses. Once everything is prepared, they throw the burning bait toward the monsters, and the plan works exactly as intended. Bahara lowers his voice and indicates that this is their opportunity to move. As they proceed carefully, Echinacea reflects on the layout of the camp, recalling that her tent and Yuerin had been positioned at the center of the camp earlier. Suddenly, she calls Bahara's attention to something unusual visible in the sky. There is an oddly shaped object suspended above them, and she suspects that it might be the starting point of the node itself. Bahara wonders what action they should take next, and questions whether they should attempt to touch it. Echinacea insists that they cannot simply stand still and stare at it, yet the real challenge lies in reaching it. The object appears to be positioned at least as high as the second floor of a building. She also realizes that she cannot use mana in front of her senior without raising suspicion. At that moment, Bahara suggests that she climb onto his shoulders. He retrieves the flag carried by the knights and raises it, explaining that from such a height she might be able to reach the object. Echinacea hesitates briefly, expressing concern about her weight and whether he will truly be able to support her. Bahara reassures her firmly, stating that he can handle such a burden without difficulty. She cannot help but acknowledge the impressive strength evident in his muscles. With determination, she steps onto the flag and entrusts herself to his support. Slowly, he lifts the flag upward, and Echinacea silently hopes that the monsters remain unaware of their actions. She confirms that they have reached a sufficient height, while Bahara reminds her to exercise caution and to touch the object first with her sword rather than her bare hand. As she prepares to make contact with what she believes to be the starting point, uncertainty creeps into her thoughts. She wonders whether it is truly possible to escape through such a narrow rift. There is only one way to discover the truth. She must pierce the thin line before her. However, Just as she prepares to act, a strange sound reaches her ears. Her eyes widen instantly as she recognizes the unmistakable noise of approaching monsters moving toward their position. Bahara reacts immediately, shouting for her to jump down without hesitation. She follows his command and lands beside him. She begins to explain her realization, but before she can finish speaking, Bahara urges that they must run for now. As they flee, Echinacea glances behind them, and a single look is enough for her to estimate the danger. There are at least 100 monsters pursuing them. She asks Bahara to let her down so that she can move on her own, but he refuses, insisting that he is faster than she is, and that it will be safer if he carries her. He assures her that everything will be fine as long as they can locate a place to hide. Yet Echinacea can see clearly that at this pace, the monsters will eventually catch up to them. A sense of guilt washes over her, and she silently apologizes to Bahara before taking decisive action. She strikes him down deliberately, forcing him to the ground. Almost immediately, she realizes how incredibly heavy he is, his immense weight, clearly a result of his heavily built muscles. Even so, she forces herself to remain focused and consider their next move. She declares that they are heading toward the edge of the node. Although the node appears endless, it actually spans only the distance that separates it from the real world. Bahara acknowledges this fact, recalling that they had discovered the same truth during a previous encounter with a node. That earlier experience had been an ordeal of unimaginable hardship. Soon, they reach a point where they can advance no further. Echinacea observes that Bahara will likely remain safe here. Judging by the movement patterns, it appears that all the monsters within the node are converging toward their current location. Recognizing the danger posed by her conspicuous clothing, she tears apart the flashy garments without hesitation. Borrowing a spear from Bahara, she grimaces at the overwhelming number of monsters surrounding them. The sheer quantity of creatures makes the situation appear disgusting and suffocating. Yet despite the terror pressing down on her, she resolves herself completely. She prepares to go all in. Soon afterward, she discards her gloves along with Bahara's sword, then reaches for Val. Val immediately questions whether she truly intends to use him again, wondering how much time has already passed. She observes that the numbers before her are overwhelming, noting that most of the monsters surrounding them are creatures she has never encountered before. That unfamiliarity is precisely why she has chosen to draw him out. Val responds with a disturbing suggestion, asking whether, if that is the case, he can take control of her entire body. The proposal disgusts her, and she reacts with clear hatred toward the idea, internally cursing him as nothing more than a damned demonic sword. She clarifies that this is not what she meant, and instructs him firmly to use only her left arm, just as he always has in the past. Val accepts the limitation with an eager tone, expressing that wherever she is now, the situation promises to be entertaining. In the next instant, he takes control of her left arm. As the monsters surge toward her position, she steadies herself, fully prepared to unleash destruction. With swift, precise movements, she cuts through the charging monsters. Each strike is clean and efficient, and Val revels in the sensation, savoring the feeling of slicing through flesh one by one. She continues eliminating them without hesitation. At one point, Val notices a particular creature that appears almost human and declares it as his prey, warning her not to interfere. She coldly tells him to deal with it himself. As the battle continues, Val experiences what he considers the thrill of his existence. In truth, Vardugiosa possesses two distinct abilities. The first is expertise in slaughter. Even among the Giosa, this demonic sword is uniquely crafted for killing, designed to make its wielder instinctively understand the most efficient way to eliminate a target. The second ability grants control over the human body. The killing intent stored within the demonic sword transforms into mana. Normally, mana is guided by the soul to control the body, yet even before awakening, the sword held enough power to dominate its wielder. In the past, she had often entrusted her left hand to the sword in this manner when facing large groups of enemies. Through repeated use, she has grown accustomed to wielding that arm under its influence. Soon, the final monster approaches her. She leaps forward with effortless agility and destroys it in a single decisive strike. Compared to the earlier node she once endured years ago, this battle feels easier. That previous encounter had been far more difficult, but time has passed since then, and her skills have steadily improved. Val keeps count of their progress, announcing that this marks the 49th monster they have eliminated. He remarks that if these enemies had been human instead, the battle would have been far more enjoyable. She sharply instructs him to focus on fighting, rather than indulging in such disturbing thoughts. Moments later, Val declares the 50th kill, sounding pleased with the milestone. She allows him to go wild in battle but snaps that she never gave him permission to chatter endlessly. Val reassures her not to worry, boasting that he remains firmly under control. Meanwhile, Bahara begins to regain consciousness. His thoughts are clouded at first, as he wonders how long he has been unconscious. Very quickly, however, anxiety replaces confusion as concern for Echinacea surges through him. He begins calling out for her, desperately hoping that she is still nearby. When he finally locates her, his eyes widen in disbelief. Before him stands an unbelievable sight. She is engaged in fierce combat against the remaining monsters. The situation appears completely absurd to him, and as he watches more carefully, realization dawns. She is wielding his sword in one hand, while in the other rests the unmistakable form of the demonic sword. After cutting down the last of the monsters, Echinacea briefly wonders whether that truly marks the end of the attack. Val responds enthusiastically, declaring that the battle was entertaining, and suggesting that they should repeat such excitement in the next node. His remark irritates her instantly, and she internally rejects the idea as madness. Despite his unsettling enthusiasm, relief washes over her. She has finished sooner than expected, and she believes that she still has time to change her torn clothing before her senior regains consciousness. However, Val interrupts her thoughts with troubling news. Bahara has already awakened. She turns around sharply and sees Bahara standing there, visibly startled. A surge of tension grips her as realization sets in. She had struck him hard enough to believe he would remain unconscious for at least a quarter of a day. Now anxiety floods her mind as she struggles to determine exactly when he regained consciousness and how much of the battle he witnessed. Val dismisses her hesitation coldly, suggesting that it does not matter whether Bahara saw everything or not. According to him, they cannot allow such a secret to escape. If Bahara recognizes the demonic sword, the consequences could be disastrous. If Commander Yuerin were to learn the truth, it would only be a matter of time before everything spiraled out of control. From Val's perspective, the solution is simple. Bahara must be killed to silence him. Under mounting pressure, she moves to retrieve Bahara's sword. With measured movements, she lifts it and points the blade directly toward him. Her thoughts race as tension thickens in the air, and she demands to know whether he saw what had just taken place. The demonic sword Vardurgiosa, the killer sword that manipulates its host into committing massacres, is known as something that no mere squire should even recognize by sight. There is absolutely no way someone of his rank would normally know what it looks like, yet he never once imagines that he would witness it with his own eyes. At that moment, Echinacea asks him again whether he has truly seen it. Bahara, still trying to make sense of everything unfolding before him, wonders if she is referring to the demonic sword. Without hesitation, she throws the sword onto the ground and drops herself into a seated position, clutching her head as frustration overwhelms her, stating that she feels as if she is about to lose her mind. Bahara, feeling an unexpected weight of guilt, apologizes to her. His apology confuses her, prompting her to question why he is apologizing in the first place. He admits that he does not truly know the reason, yet he simply feels that apologizing is the right thing to do in this moment. As he reflects on the situation, realization dawns on him that she is indeed the owner of that sword, and he wonders if she is a master. She confirms that she is, but clarifies further that she is actually one level above a master. Even so, she questions herself internally about what she is supposed to do now. She reflects that she entered the portal to save her senior, and had killed Ian only because he attempted to kill her first. Now, however, she finds herself unable to act against her senior, even if she wished to. She reflects that if she had truly desired to slaughter people without reason, she would never have become a cadet in the first place. Even though her superior continues spreading rumors about her everywhere, she still has no intention of harming her senior. Instead, her deepest wish is to see her senior rise through the ranks and become a knight, just like Alice. With that conviction in mind, she calls out to her senior, expressing that she has no desire to kill him. However, she also makes it clear that if he fails to keep the secret of her being the owner of the demonic sword, she will have no choice but to kill him. She insists that he must keep it hidden, emphasizing that this is not a request but an order. Before accepting her demand, Bahara states that he still has several questions that must be answered. First and foremost, he wonders how she remains completely normal despite wielding a demonic sword, especially one rumored to control its owner's will. In response, she admits that she does not truly have an answer herself, yet reassures him that he does not need to worry, because she is able to maintain her willpower without losing control. He then questions her motives for joining the Knights. She explains that her ultimate goal is to rid herself of the demonic sword entirely. To accomplish that, she needs to obtain another Geos. which is precisely why she chose to enter the military in the first place. Bahara becomes curious at that explanation and asks whether acquiring another sword would truly allow her to discard the demonic one. She confirms that this is indeed the case. However, Val interjects internally, claiming that she is not telling the truth and pointing out that she could simply throw the demonic sword away at any moment if she truly wished to be rid of it. Bahara, still processing everything, raises another point. He wonders that if she truly stands above the rank of master, then logically she should have already become a knight by now, making her current position seem even more puzzling in light of her true abilities. She replies that a 20-year-old master would appear suspicious to others, which is precisely why she plans to reveal her abilities gradually. Her intention has always been to show steady improvement over time, and only reach the official rank of master at the age of 23. She further reflects that achieving the level of master is partly due to the demonic sword itself, and because of that, revealing the truth about her strength would also expose the sword's influence, something she absolutely cannot allow. At that moment, Val mocks her mercilessly, teasing that she is lying without even the slightest hesitation. He remarks sarcastically that if such a plan were truly possible, it would not merely be impressive, but would qualify as a miracle. No, a true miracle. On the other side, Bahara gathers his thoughts and states that there is still one final question he must ask. That question concerns her reason for entering the portal in the first place. She responds that it simply happened by accident. However, he refuses to accept that explanation, insisting that it does not make sense. He clearly remembers seeing her running in a completely different direction before entering the portal, meaning that she must have done so intentionally. There is simply no way she was pulled in by accident. Faced with his persistence, she finally confesses the truth, admitting that she actually came there for him. Upon hearing this, Bahara realizes what that means. He understands that she deliberately allowed herself to be caught in the portal because she was confident that she could survive even inside the rift. In his mind, it becomes clear that she came specifically to save him. Immediately, she denies this conclusion, raising her voice and insisting that it was only a mistake and that she merely fell inside accidentally. She questions him sharply, asking whether he truly believes that even a master cannot make mistakes. Bahara pauses to think for a moment, carefully reflecting on her earlier words. After considering everything, he states that she was lying earlier when she claimed that she would kill him if he failed to keep her secret. His conclusion angers her instantly. Without hesitation, she strides forward, grabs him, and throws him forcefully onto the ground. Once again, she points the sword directly in his direction, demanding to know whether he truly believes she is lying and whether he is willing to bet his one and only life on that assumption. Bahara looks at her quietly for a moment, carefully observing her expression. Then, unexpectedly, he reaches out and gently pats her, reassuring her not to worry because he will not tell anyone, even without her demanding it. He reminds her that she saved his life, and he questions whether she truly believes he is the kind of person who would fail to keep a secret for someone who rescued him. In his mind, the answer is obvious. Of course he will keep her secret without hesitation. Meanwhile, Echinacea finds herself wondering whether she can truly trust him. The two of them lock eyes in silence, each studying the other carefully. After several tense moments, she finally rises to her feet and declares that she will trust him. Along with that declaration, she apologizes for the wound she inflicted on his neck earlier. Bahara responds that he is glad she has decided to trust him. He admits that there are still many things he wishes to ask her, yet he also recognizes that those questions should be saved for later. Instead, he turns his attention to their immediate situation and wonders aloud about what they should do next. She replies that there is something she wishes to attempt. Her plan is simple yet deliberate. She believes they should return to the starting point. Soon afterward, the two of them walk together through the surroundings. As they move forward, Bahara cannot help but feel embarrassed. The very person he had intended to protect ended up protecting him instead, and he even received a scratch during the encounter. Yet, strangely enough, he does not feel humiliated or upset. Instead, after witnessing her fight with such determination and skill, he realizes something unexpected within himself. He comes to the quiet conclusion that he has truly fallen for her. At the same time, Val interrupts her thoughts by calling out to Echinacea. His sudden voice makes her question what he wants from her now. He explains that he believes she already knows the reason why those creatures suddenly began appearing. Curious, she asks him to elaborate further. Val then explains that when he was owned by his previous master, he frequently saw rats appearing around them as well. He recalls that his former owner had also traveled back in time, just as she has. With that realization in mind, he proposes a possibility, that if those rats appeared in both situations, then perhaps the occurrences are not coincidences at all. With that reasoning, he suggests that these rats might be directly connected to Kairos Giosa, hinting that the strange appearances they are witnessing could be tied to that mysterious power. Echinacea reflects on the nature of Lakia and Kairos, recognizing that although their personalities differ greatly, both are sacred swords born from extraordinary forces. The contrast between them does not lessen their similarity in origin. If Lakia is reacting to the distortions caused by Kairos, then it suggests that the changes rippling through reality are not isolated incidents, but interconnected consequences. Val considers this possibility and reasons that the true source of the excess distortions might not be the swords themselves, but rather Echinacea's own actions. It is she who has returned to the past and altered the flow of events, and with each change she makes, more abnormalities begin to surface throughout the world. Seeking clarity, Echinacea turns her thoughts toward Val's past and wonders what life was like under his previous master. Val recalls that his former wielder was obsessed with changing the future, repeatedly attempting to alter events whenever the outcome displeased him. This cycle continued until a moment came when he realized that any further interference would only deepen the chaos surrounding him. At that stage, he chose to stop resisting fate and live quietly, accepting what had already been spoken and set into motion. Looking back now, Val suspects that this decision was driven by the growing presence of anomalies. The more his master interfered with events, the more frequently strange distortions began appearing around him, as though reality itself resisted being rewritten. Echinacea finds this explanation unsettling and strange. The pattern suggests a world that pushes back against excessive tampering, as though time carries its own form of balance. Val admits that he cannot confirm the theory with certainty, and emphasizes that he is only suggesting a possibility rather than stating an absolute truth. Even so, the idea resonates enough for Echinacea to grasp the broader implication. Regardless of the cause, the immediate priority remains survival, and her focus shifts back to the pressing task of escaping the anomaly. Bahara questions her intentions, wondering what she plans to accomplish next within this unstable space. Echinacea determines that she will attempt to strike the weak point once more. Although the monster they confronted has already been slain, Bahara remains cautious and questions whether repeating the strike will truly be effective. Echinacea reasons that the creatures inside an anomaly are not genuine living beings, but manifestations of the anomaly itself, abnormal phenomena created by distorted magic rather than natural existence. She recalls that when a precise point was struck earlier, all the monsters in the vicinity converged toward that location at once. That reaction strongly suggests the presence of a central weakness within the anomaly. With this realization, Echinacea concludes that the space surrounding them is not natural terrain, but a domain generated entirely by magic. Every movement, every creature, and every distortion within it follows rules imposed by that magical structure. If she can locate and strike the exact point where the anomaly's energy gathers, then the fragile balance sustaining this unnatural space may collapse, allowing them a path to escape. Echinacea considers the possibility that if they strike the same spot again, using the same type of energy, a stronger reaction might occur within the anomaly. The thought lingers in her mind as she begins to sense something unusual about her own condition. Bahara notices her sudden distraction and wonders what is wrong, questioning whether she has injured herself. Instead of answering calmly, she reacts with urgency and loudly demands a mirror. She insists on having one immediately, asking whether there is any mirror available in his shop. Her sudden insistence leaves him completely confused, yet she continues pressing the matter, repeating that she needs a mirror right now. Her concern grows more intense as she imagines stepping outside in her current state. She fears that if she goes out like this, everyone will notice her appearance, and all the effort she invested in maintaining an image opposite to that of a cursed demonic sword will be wasted. She even thinks that if only she had a bit of blood, she might be able to conceal the evidence more effectively. Meanwhile, Bahara finds the situation oddly amusing rather than alarming. With a tone of mild entertainment, he remarks that a mirror might have a mirror available, and instructs her to open the box in his shop. When Echinacea finally sees her reflection in the mirror, she feels a sense of resignation rather than shock. She had already anticipated that something like this would happen eventually. Bahara approaches again and suggests that she wash herself, pointing out that the wash basin is located in another tent. She immediately asks whether she can borrow some clothes as well. Bahara questions her request in disbelief, asking whether she truly intends to wear his clothes. Despite his hesitation, she proceeds, and soon she finds herself dressed in his garments. The oversized clothing hangs loosely on her frame, prompting Bahara to comment that his clothes would naturally be far too large for her. However, he then recalls that Knight Teresa's shop is located nearby and mentions that spare clothing might be available there. Hearing this, Echinacea thinks that the suggestion is perfect and expresses her thanks. She goes to obtain more suitable attire and changes into it, intending only to borrow the clothes for a short period. After finishing, Bahara asks whether she is ready to move forward. Echinacea hesitates slightly and questions whether she looks strange in her current appearance. He reassures her without hesitation, stating that she does not look strange at all. In fact, he remarks that she looks rather cute and genuinely good. His response brings her a sense of relief, easing the tension she had been carrying. Before leaving, Bahara insists that they agree on what they will say once they return outside. Echinacea reflects on the difficulty of concealing everything and concludes that they will tell the truth about most events while altering only certain details. Specifically, she decides that they will change the part about the monster, stating instead that only ghouls appeared. Bahara questions her reasoning, wondering why such a change is necessary. She explains that Noelle might become suspicious if they reveal too much, so it would be safer to claim that they defeated lesser creatures together and held their ground until the distortion disappeared. Bahara agrees to follow her plan and acknowledges that if she wishes to hide her identity as a knight, this explanation would indeed be the safest approach. Shortly afterward, he recalls that Ryan was supposed to accompany them earlier. Noticing that Ryan has not appeared, he begins to worry that a powerful monster might have killed him. Echinacea admits that she does not know what happened, as everything inside the anomaly had been chaotic and confusing. Bahara responds with a grim determination, stating that if Ryan is still alive, he intends to make him answer for his absence. He adds that they will learn the truth once they leave this place. They prepare to return to the starting point, and Bahara offers to carry the banner for her. Echinacea declines the offer, insisting that she can carry it herself. Drawing out the demonic sword, she gathers her strength and leaps high into the air. In a swift motion, she descends again, striking downward as she notices the crack beginning to open within the anomaly's structure. Bahara immediately questions whether the attempt succeeded. Echinacea responds that she has a strong feeling that it worked. Moments later, her eyes widen as she notices a change in the environment. Above them, the sky becomes visible once more, and the distorted space collapses around them. They have returned to the outside world. The sight fills her with relief, and she silently acknowledges that the danger has finally passed. However, her relief is short-lived. As she turns back, she notices Yuerin rushing toward her with urgency. Without hesitation, he closes the distance and pulls her into a tight embrace. After a brief moment, he leans back, his face shifting into a deeply sorrowful expression. Seeing this reaction, Echinacea becomes confused and unsettled. She wonders why he is looking at her with such emotion, as though he holds deep affection for her. The intensity of his gaze leaves her questioning his intentions. She wonders whether he truly does not recognize that she is connected to the demonic sword, or whether he is deliberately trying to provoke a reaction from her to confirm his suspicions. If that is not the case, then the expression he is showing makes little sense. The emotion in his eyes appears too genuine to dismiss. As she studies his face, uncertainty grows within her mind, and she cannot help but question who that emotion is truly meant for, and whether the feelings he is displaying at this moment are real. She remembers the things he had said, words that linger as if they refuse to fade, and she cannot forget the day she felt destroyed inside. He pulls her away, urging her to move away from her, and Yuerin stands there for a while, remaining still as the moment stretches. After a brief pause, he admits that his behavior consisted of only two simple words. He was worried, and he is deeply sorry for suddenly hugging her. Echinacea indicates that it is fine, and that she was only a little surprised by his sudden action. He quickly questions whether she is hurt anywhere, carefully looking over her for injuries, and she replies that she is not injured anywhere at all. She then questions, more importantly, how much time has passed since everything happened, and he replies that it has been 2 days. Bahara also arrives at that moment and greets him, and Yuerin expresses that it is good that he is safe as well. Bahara explains that there were many beasts, yet he managed to escape, giving thanks to Echinacea for accompanying him. However, she immediately dismisses the praise, insisting that she did not do much and that Senior Bahara is the one who did everything. Still, he firmly insists that the credit belongs entirely to her, believing that she practically saved him. In response, Echinacea walks over and pinches him, remarking that the beasts were not much of a threat and that he is praising her far too much. As the two of them continue behaving like this, Sam's eyes widen when he notices Echinacea touching Bahara. He expresses his gratitude that both of them have returned safely from the bridge and states that there will be a separate reward once they return fully. Once again, they are welcomed back, and he acknowledges their efforts, noting that they have done well. Echinacea then calls out to Bahara, reminding him that they agreed to keep it a secret, so she questions why he is giving her the credit. He continues to insist that it is the truth, and suggests that she should simply say that she improved her swordsmanship by surviving a life-or-death situation. This causes her to remark that he is very good at making things up. At that moment, the deputy commander and Alice also arrive, and they greet them as well. Finally, it becomes May 15th. The Knights conclude their operation at White Crow Gorge. Only one casualty is recorded, and aside from that unfortunate loss, there are only injuries. Considering that it was a breach, the level of damage is remarkably low. Some suspicion briefly arises regarding the gathered remains, but based on the survivor statements and the conditions found inside the breach, the matter is ultimately settled as a beast-related death. 2 days later, on May 17th, the subjugation force safely returns. The scene shifts to Echinacea lying on her bed. The physician's scheduled appointment is tomorrow. Yet despite this, she remains in her current weakened state. She reflects that she should have supported herself with mana, and realizes that she underestimated the strain placed on her body. Elias expresses concern and suggests that they should call a doctor, worried about her condition. However, Echinacea insists that there is no need for the royal physician, maintaining that she is fine, despite her obvious weakness. Alice continues to insist, unable to understand how she can claim to be fine while suffering from such a high fever. Nevertheless, Echinacea maintains that she only needs rest and believes she will recover on her own. She urges Alice to leave and continue training, reminding her that the overall ranking match is not far away. Alice hesitates, clearly unwilling to leave her side, but Echinacea points out that with her presence there, she becomes too distracted to fall asleep. Alice indicates that if that is the reason, then she understands, and she asks Echinacea to please let her know if she needs anything after she leaves. After Alice departs, Echinacea reflects that she will have to face Uaran at the squire appointment, and the thought alone feels like such a pain. She considers that perhaps wearing a good dress today might help. Val remarks that one day will not be enough and that she should train more, yet Echinacea responds internally that she is doing her best, and it has only been 2 months since she returned. This prompts him to question whether it has truly been only 2 months. She recalls that she returned on March 17th, and today is May 18th. For a girl who used to do nothing but sit and drink tea, this is remarkably fast progress. Val ultimately dismisses the matter, thinking that whatever the case may be, she should hurry up and recover because it is too boring with her lying around, and he feels extremely bored. In response, she internally tells him to be quiet because she is trying to rest. She also recalls receiving a telegram from Nicole and wonders whether Nicole managed to find something. Nicole's message states that she will be visiting soon on escort duty with a VIP and that she will tell her about the Wild White Line. This causes Echinacea to wonder who the VIP might be and when she will arrive. She reflects that telegram fees are expensive, yet the message Nicole sent is far too short. Suddenly, someone calls out to her, wondering whether she is inside, and asking if they may come in. The visitor turns out to be Fatima, who enters immediately while Alice apologizes to Echinacea, explaining that she did not mean to intrude, but that the senior asked where she was. Fatima dismisses the apology and indicates that Alice should not say such things. She then approaches Echinacea and hands her something, explaining that it is herbs soaked in honey and that she should mix it in hot water and drink it like tea. She explains that it is a folk remedy passed down through her family and that it is good for health and also tastes pleasant. Echinacea reflects that Fatima did not need to do all of this, but still feels grateful and thankful toward her. However, Fatima insists that she is trying to earn points, so she asks Echinacea to let her do this, because she has not given up on her yet. This causes Echinacea to think that Fatima is truly persistent. Fatima urges her to eat this first, explaining that even while resting, she still needs to eat. She mentions that she personally asked the kitchen to prepare the food, so Echinacea must eat it. This makes Echinacea question internally whether Fatima truly went all the way to the kitchen for this, especially when she had previously told her to go train. Alice also reassures her not to worry, explaining that she will go train after Echinacea eats, and if it becomes uncomfortable, she will instead go spar with the senior. In response, Echinacea looks at the medicine and the prepared food before reflecting that it is not truly uncomfortable, and she feels thankful toward both of them for their concern. Alice responds by indicating that there is no need to mention it, as being her roommate makes this the least she can do. Meanwhile, Fatima internally thinks that it appears they have made up, and she feels glad that the two of them are getting along well. Fatima then mentions that, more importantly, Echinacea should listen carefully because she heard some huge news on her way there, and she will share it if the two of them join her club, since the two of them are the least interested at the moment. Fatima begins throwing a tantrum, reminding them that they previously said that once the two girls got along, they would join her club together. However, Echinacea reflects that she does not recall ever agreeing to such a thing. Fatima questions what could possibly be so bad about joining the club, while Alice mentions that she has not yet decided and honestly believes that clubs these days are far too political. Echinacea internally reflects that she simply does not enjoy group activities, which is why she does not want to be tied down to any group. Fatima then suggests that if that is truly the case, then the club called Wisdom would be the perfect fit for the two of them. She proudly declares herself as the founding club president of Wisdom and explains that there are currently no members, meaning that their club is neither political nor crowded at all. She explains that the club will meet once a week for training, and if anyone wishes to meet more frequently, they are free to arrange it among themselves. She makes it clear that she does not intend to have more than 10 members, believing that around 8 would be ideal. When they ask if that is all, she confirms that it is, adding that everything else will be left to them and that she has no intention of forcing anyone to train. Echinacea finds the arrangement far more relaxed than she initially expected. Since it is only for seniors for now, she thinks it would not be a bad idea to join along with Alice. They would not be tied down by strict group activities, and she appreciates that senior Fatima does not concern herself with strange rumors. It would also feel more natural to say that her skills improved thanks to the club, rather than claiming to have progressed entirely on her own. She glances at Alice, and the two of them decide that they will join. Fatima becomes visibly excited upon hearing their decision. She thanks them both repeatedly, promising to do her best, and then eagerly asks them to sign the application forms right away. This prompts Alice to point out that she has been carrying the forms with her all along. Fatima, delighted, urges them to read through everything quickly and sign without delay. As the moment continues, she mentions that on the day of the ranking dominant tournament, which is set for May 30th, there will also be an election for the cadet representative. Alice notes that it is only natural, considering that the cadet representative position is currently vacant. Fatima agrees, but then adds that there is a strange rumor circulating. Something was apparently found in the former cadet representative's room. However, she quickly shifts focus, emphasizing that the truly significant news is something else entirely. She warns them not to be surprised, before revealing that Commander Yuaren is going to be married soon. The announcement causes Echinacea to pause in shock, as the idea takes a moment to sink in. Fatima continues, explaining that his fiancée will be arriving very soon. Alice, equally surprised, wonders aloud when this fiancé is expected to arrive. Fatima explains that it will be as soon as tomorrow, as they are planning to hold the engagement ceremony first, rather than the wedding itself. The news leads them to consider the identity of the woman. If she is truly Commander Yuaren's fiancée, she must be the daughter of a highly noble family. Still, uncertainty lingers, and the question arises again, could she possibly be the young lady of the House of Diasant? She thinks that it is at that moment when they notice Echinacea suddenly rising to her feet. There is a strange, almost dog-like aura surrounding her, and she tells the two of them that she is feeling a bit tired and asks if she can rest. Fatima immediately reacts, realizing that she may have talked too much in front of someone who is unwell. She decides to leave, reminding her to make sure she gets proper rest. Alice adds that she will return in the evening, telling her not to worry. Echinacea thanks the two of them before collapsing onto her bed. As the room quiets, a question surfaces in her mind. Was that man ever married before? The answer comes just as quickly. No, nothing like that had ever happened. Before she turned back time, there had been no engagement, no marriage. Up until the very moment of his death, there had not even been a single scandal surrounding him. This only deepens her confusion, leaving her to wonder why things are different now. Another thought arises, questioning what she is doing. Is she about to write a letter? She dismisses the idea, realizing instead that she is trying to organize the events of the past alongside those unfolding in the present. She begins with what she remembers. At dawn on March 17th, the demon sword was discovered in the estate's kitchen. At the same time, only an empty bundle had been found. The devil of the cursed sword appeared, and massacres spread across the surrounding territories, beginning with the Roz family. Yet, in this present timeline, the devil of the cursed sword has not appeared, and those massacres have not occurred, she continues. In the spring of 1629, there had been the Sky Knights, monster subjugation, followed by the Spectre ambush incident. There were multiple casualties, including the death of Squire Bahara himself. But now, things are different. The specter had been dealt with beforehand. Bahara survives, yet Aaron dies, and no other deaths occur. Her thoughts shift again. Yuerin had originally been scheduled to become engaged to the young lady of Diasant. If it truly is that family, then it must be the ducal house that produced the current crown princess. She wonders if there is another daughter in that family. If so, then given the circumstances, the VIP that Nicole is escorting must indeed be the young lady of Diasant. From here, her thoughts turn toward the future events that have not yet come to pass. Just as the past has already changed, there is no guarantee that what lies ahead will unfold in the same way. She recalls the fifth event, the Sentra's murder case. It was the case where El Gyosa, one of the 3 missing Gyosa, was discovered. It had been a tragic and terrible incident, where the Gyosa was found only after its honor had been violated and it had been murdered. Next comes winter of 1631, when the Empire's Devil Subjugation Force was formed, only to be completely annihilated by the Devil of the Cursed Sword. Then in 1632, Azenka was annihilated by that same devil, and all Gyosa, along with the royal court, were killed. In the end, Yuerin also dies. These are the major events she remembers up until the moment of his death. She tries to determine which of them could have led to his engagement, but no matter how she thinks about it, she cannot find an answer. Another possibility emerges. Perhaps Yurin's engagement is not a result of the altered timeline at all, but rather a choice made by Yurin himself, someone who remembers the erased past. Perhaps there had once been someone he loved, but never confessed to, a regret he carried until his death. And now, given another chance, he confessed immediately and became engaged. The thought makes her feel foolish. Someone like her and Yuerin were never meant to be connected in the first place. Even if he chooses someone of his own will, she has no right to say anything about it. And yet, she cannot ignore the memory of that expression he once showed her, the bright smile, the way he carefully watched over her, and the unmistakable look of genuine relief in his eyes. She questions it all. Was that, too, nothing more than an act? Were the emotions he showed her not real? The demonic presence within her seems to respond almost mockingly, urging her not to claim that she believed it was real. Yuerin must remember it as well. The sharp, cold blade of the demon's sword she wielded, the sensation of it piercing through his body, and she remembers it just the same. This leads her to a harsher realization. What, exactly, had she even been expecting? Did she truly believe she could have a future with him? The scene shifts. Yuerin stands waiting, composed as ever. He calls out to Echinacea. She approaches, now fully dressed, and greets him.